So the show opened up with the recap of the Lana Lashley deal, and they cut to the ring, and Orton and Corbin are beating on Rusev. And he clears the ring, and then Lashley appears on the big screen. Lashley says, "You know what? I'm wearing your robe, Rusev. That means I'm at your house, and I'm in your room, and I'm in your bed, and I'm with your wife." And Lana walks in wearing a robe. She gets in bed. She says, "I own everything now. We no longer have joint checking accounts."
People, how do you pull that off? I guess you just do in wrestling, right?
Yes.
I mean, people have done that in real life.
Lashley says,
"That's so mean." But see, that's the whole deal. You've got guys writing this who it's everything I said before. It's like that's what the pretty girl is is going to screw you at the end, and this is a storyline in that direction.
Lashley says you should have given Lana the money and not sent it back home to your family in Bulgaria. I'm like, she just said that he gave her money. She just took all the money. What are you guys talking about? And then she takes off her bra, shuts off the light. Corbin and Orton laugh at Rusev. Rusev wipes a tear from his eye, and then he beats up both dudes, lays him out with Mashka kicks.
Thank God he beat up both guys. He had to. He was
fixing to be killed here, but he beat up two men. So
no, he had to beat up.
Saved him there at the end.
Yeah. Because if he didn't do that, oh my God.
But seriously, what is this storyline?
Lashley sleeping with Lana, and Rusev and Lashley are going to have a match.
I know that.
Or matches.
But this is totally out of nowhere. All of a sudden, one week, they've had marital problems, and the next week, she's taken everything he's got? What?
They move fast.
Why is she with Lashley? Like, what's going on?
You're expecting me to answer questions about people's marital problems now?
I'm trying.
Oh, my God.
Sometimes you come up with some sort of answer.
God, their marital problems. I honestly haven't thought about it. I just didn't even think about, why this would be happening. I don't know. It's probably that, they wanted them to have marital problems before, but she went and got engaged in real life in the middle of it, and they had to stop the angle. So I guess they just got them on board. Man, I wish that, Rusev called me, because I could have told him the percentages of this, and it's not a good idea.
No.
I went through this. I did a TV show once where we were doing this was the exact topic of how many people in wrestling get put into fake marriage breakups, and then what happens? They actually break up their marriage. I mean, it was just one after the other after the other. It was like the only ones that survive it are the McMahons. I mean, everybody else, it actually ruins their marriage.
So then we had the Natty versus Lacey Evans last woman standing match. At least they didn't call it a women's last man standing match. That's an improvement. And this was the first of several matches that went 17 minutes here on the show.
Very long match.
They worked very hard. They tried very hard.
They worked very hard.
It went too long.
Agreed. The thing is
there was just too much counting.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of. I mean, WWE usually does last man standing matches really well, but I think on television, on pay-per-view, I usually like them, but on television, it's hit and miss. Because, when they do too many of these 10 counts where they're getting up. Now, wasn't there one, though? There was one where Natalya was down and they counted 10 and she didn't get up and they just pretended that she did, which was really weird. And then there was, because I remember the ref counted to 10. She never got up, and then he starts counting 1 again. So it's oh, I mean, I guess she was supposed to get up, and she just didn't, and they just start counting again. But so that was weird. But I think that when you got commercial breaks and just things where they're not, you have the 10 count, but that it's not the finish, it can make the match drag in a lot of ways. But the one thing is that, the idea of the whole Natalya, Lacey Evans match after match after match was to improve Lacey Evans working with, a real veteran. And, it's very clearly worked. She's so much better than she was even 3 months ago, 2 months ago, even a month ago. So it's in that sense, this feud has been a positive. And I think it's over now, but God only knows.
Don't even.
Yeah.
They probably have to have one more straight wrestling match to blow this one off.
Well, maybe they have to give Lacey Evans a win somewhere in here because Natalia's been, was won the last two.
So Natty gave her a sunset flip with a kendo stick, which was actually was a monkey flip with a kendo stick, which was a cool spot.
Yeah.
Trash cans, flips off the dasher boards, threw Natty into the half pipe a few times, and then finally they brawl into the announce table. Lacey gives her a suplex. Natty reverses it, and then power bombs her off the stage through a very gimmick table, and got the win. We have an Aleister Black promo. They've returned. He challenges anyone to knock on his door. He's an impatient man, as we found out later.
I think that this was like a tease for him coming to Raw.
Well, he was on Raw, but
yeah, that's what I mean. But he was a SmackDown guy. He hadn't been on Raw. He was but they're switching guys around, and he is a Paul Heyman guy. So I kind of figured like there's probably plenty of others, but the two Paul Heyman guys I know on SmackDown are Aleister Black. I mean, there's others, but Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. And I could see, especially since when they were talking about the draft and the Street Profits, they brought up Buddy Murphy's name too. So I could see those guys come to Raw and get that, Aleister Black, will probably get a good push, and Buddy Murphy will probably get that 3-week push thing that, we always talk about, that then they end up like Mojo Rawley push.
So Street Profits did their scouting report, plugged the Tyson Fury thing, showed clips from SmackDown. And then Charlie interviews Tyson Fury. And he says, well, I was just there to watch a match, but Braun threw Dolph into me. I shouldn't have jumped the rail, but tonight I want an apology. If Braun doesn't give it to me, he's going to get these hands. Hey, the Viking Raiders versus Ziggler and Rude, non-title match. Another 17-minute match, our second in a row. The Raiders beat on them forever, like for 7 straight minutes. Then got the heat. Eric made a hot tag. Pretty cool. Pretty good comeback. Broke down into a 4-way. Heels hit a combo zigzag. Eric kicked out, and the Raiders finally hit the Viking Experience for the pin. So next week, tag title match.
Yeah.
The Viking Raiders.
I think in this case, it was booked along with the idea that you got, because, really the Viking Raiders are a really good team. And, Rude is a very good worker. Ziggler's a good worker. And I think it's the idea of trying to, put more emphasis into this tag team division by having them do a really long, great match. And, this crowd, it didn't really work for this crowd. They were not into these teams enough to go that long, and, it dragged. But I get the idea of why it was done this way. And like with Natalya and Lacey, on paper, it's too long. It was too long. I mean, even as hard as they worked and everything. But I think the feeling there is that for like last man standing type matches, if you go short, it's like really feels fake. And in this one, at least they went, you know what I mean? There was enough pounding and beating that you got like all those near things, and both had their times where they were beaten down and came up, and then finally, you finished it with that power bomb off the stage, so you finished it with something big. So I think that's the mentality behind the two long matches, but I did think that both of them would have been better 5 minutes shorter.
This person here, I'm sorry, I'm half asleep. Another Aleister Black promo. This person here, Aleister Black, says, I'm going down to the ring right now, and we're going to see who's going to pick a fight with me. Guess nobody knocked on his door. Ends up being Samir and Sunil.
No, wait, did they know ahead of time?
I presume so. They were in the ring.
I thought they were just in the ring because they had their gear and they had some trophy, like they won a Bollywood award or something.
Well, Aleister killed them, kicks, Dragon Sleeper variation. All I could think watching this was, I saw this exact same thing this summer and then it just ended. So hopefully they do something with the guy this time.
Yeah. Who knows?
SmackDown recap, and then Strowman's with Charlie. And he says, I was just trying to have some fun, but if Tyson wants to get all serious, so will I. They show the knockout punch of AJ, and he says, Tyson better ask for that apology nicely, because if he does, he might get one. If he doesn't, he's going to get these hands. By the way, hell of a medical team they've got. AJ Styles knocked out last night, didn't know where he was, didn't know his name, didn't know what day it was, what town he was in. He's wrestling tonight.
Well, they're like this is like a Roadrunner cartoon. There's no reality to this.
There's got to be some impact testing or something for this guy.
The only reality is when somebody's really hurt in real life. When they do fake injuries, look, how many times have we seen these guys just get remember Strowman was murdered in the back of a, or was it Sami Zayn? Which one got murdered in the back of the garbage truck?
I think Sami Zayn was the guy that got murdered.
Okay, so
him and Ramblin' Rabbit.
Oh, Ramblin' Rabbit gets murdered every week. But Strowman had at least one time where he was murdered. I remember that because he was back in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So I thought when AJ came out, I thought they were doing a tag match because I just figured that AJ's going to just be in the corner. But no, he wrestled. And in fact, he wrestled in a match where he sold nothing. He didn't act loopy or anything. It was just normal. It was he's a fast healer from concussions. I guess, I don't know, or the concussion didn't count.
We had a Ray promo, which I loved.
Super promo.
He says, "It's weird, but in a way, I've never been prouder of my son. He took a beating like a man. For that, his physical scars will heal soon, but his emotional ones will take longer, and he's home now resting." He's asked, "How you feeling a week after you were victimized by the beast?" And he says, "When men and women become parents, we vow to love and protect our children. I had to watch this disgusting bully Brock Lesnar maul my son. There was nothing I could do about it. I felt helpless. Felt like I let my son down, my family down. And who walks in when we're sitting there in the hospital? Cain Velasquez. He was just wandering by in that San Diego hospital. Oh, he knew about this. He sought them out. The man who took the UFC title from Brock Lesnar, the only man who can brag that Brock Lesnar fears him. If there is someone who will avenge what happened to my family, it is Cain."
He said Cain was Dominic's godfather.
This is awesome. This was great.
It was a great promo.
Absolutely great.
Yeah. So I figured out, since Jim Cornette's never going to Saudi Arabia and never going to WWE again as well, so I figured out who should be Cain's manager.
Well, it should be Ray after this promo.
No, Ray would actually be all right. Yeah, but I just think that you need somebody else besides Ray, although Ray was tremendous here. It should be Conan. Because Conan will Conan, he does the dialect. I want someone, you'd need someone who can sell the reality. And I think Conan's the guy. And also go head to head in a verbal battle with Paul Lee.
We had another AOP promo. Razor talked about growing up in a war zone, having to fight for every scrap they brought home for their family. They grew up thousands of miles apart, came home with food every night because they have the will to take food from another man, from another man's family, and take it to theirs.
Man, so is it really that bad in Vancouver?
Hey, no tag team in this company has this killer instinct running through their veins, but they do. We will take your food, we will take your money, we will take your careers. We have the will to do violence in WWE. That's why they are others of pain.
Okay. I hope they wrestle soon.
Yeah. Lucha House Party versus the OC. Hey, listen, I loved it. Can we have a match like this every week? They just went out there, did a bunch of cool moves, had a good time, fun six-man, cut off Dorado after the break. I should note that at one point, the Lucha House Party was beating up all the heels 3-on-1, and this was not a disqualification. So, I don't know why it was last night. Kalisto makes a hot tag, Hurricane Run and DDT, another six-way. Goes for the Selena Del Sol. AJ hits the phenomenal forearm, gets the pin.
There was a spot where the Lucha House Party, all three of them went to the same corner. They all climbed to the top. One of them was on the post, and the other two were standing on the top rope, and they all did moonsaults to the floor.
Yep.
It was spectacular. And then they went right to the commercial, and I was thinking, God, shouldn't that build momentum, and then they just take it away? What a great spot. And it didn't even get over nearly what it should have. I guess because I think that the audience is kind of conditioned that, okay, you do your dive and then you go to dark and you do nothing because that they go to the commercial. And so they don't pop for the dive or anything. So whatever, but it was really a spectacular spot. I like the finish. The last couple of moves there was
it was good
with AJ and Kalisto.
It was a very fun match.
Yeah, it's the only really good match. It was the only good match on the show, really, though.
We had Miz with Becky and Charlotte, and talks about this and that, all these things they've done, the women getting each other's faces. Charlotte's offended that Miz says they're the two most dominant women, they should just be the most dominant. And he announces Kabuki Warriors versus Charlotte and Becky. Charlotte and Becky cut promos on each other, and this leads to the match. So it's Charlotte and Becky versus Kabuki Warriors. And
Kairi Sane is absolutely a heel.
Yes, and it's the most preposterous thing I've ever seen, like, in my life. It's ridiculous. It's out absolutely there, ridiculous.
I mean, that's all I could think of watching her out there. It's like she is the most natural babyface in the entire company, and she's out there trying to be a heel. I mean, even Asuka, like, when she's trying to be a heel, I find her so completely likable.
Both of them.
Because she's so freaking good and everything, but I guess you need, Becky Lynch is the top babyface, so I guess you need heels. And after all these months since January, we're finally getting the Asuka and Becky Lynch payoff for that non-title.
I'm sure they remembered that.
They brought it up on the show. They absolutely do remember it. It was said.
This is ridiculous.
They brought it up.
This is preposterous.
Didn't you listen to the commentary? They made a point to tell you.
You think I listened to this commentary? You kidding me?
Not only that, Becky Lynch brought it up in her promo, too.
Give me a break. What? I mean, this all happened, but I mean, come on.
They're finally paying it off.
So they do this match, and it's pretty good. Asuka cut a promo in Japanese, no translation, no subtitles. It was great. They do this match. Kairi sets her for the elbow. Becky cuts her off. All these near falls at the end. Charlotte knocks Asuka off the apron. Kairi chop blocks her. Becky puts Kairi in the disarmer, but the ref is getting rid of Charlotte. And then Asuka blows the mist. And Kairi rolls up Becky for the pin.
There's mist all over her mouth. There's mist all over her face.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's so silly.
So then Alexa and Nikki at the ring. They just destroy the Kabuki Warriors. I'm like, come on. They better be doing a three-way here, because...
I don't think they're... I think Charlotte and Becky... I mean, they may, but I just think Charlotte and Becky Lynch have, bigger fish to fry than these people. Although, obviously...
what the hell do they do this for, then?
Obviously, well, Asuka and, I'm sure they're going to go to Asuka and Becky Lynch, I mean, because Sasha Banks is out, so they need an opponent.
They have a recap of the Rusev segment. And then Charlie with Apollo Crews. She asks him about the draft. What do you want to improve in the match with the Ricochet, she says. It's an honor to be in the ring with him, someone I've really admired. The draft is not about admiration, it's about opportunity. This will be my showcase tonight.
And they wonder why these promos don't get people over.
Viking Raiders promo, challenging for next week. Ricochet promo. He says, if I get drafted to SmackDown, this might be the last time I wrestle on Raw. Paul is one of my best friends, not personal. But the draft is an opportunity for a fresh start. And I'm always looking to prove that superheroes can be real. And if you think I'm making that up,
what did I just
I'm
say
not.
About Apollo Crews' interview?
Oh my God. Can they stop with this superhero thing? They're killing this guy. Nobody recognizes it. Actually, they probably all recognize it except Vince. But this is bad. It's bad.
Yeah?
Just let the guy be a superhero and never talk about it.
Well, I don't think you should be a superhero. Because
I'm just talking about, like, go out there and just be awesome. Like, you don't have to come on TV and tell me you're a superhero, and you're here to prove that superheroes can be real. It's ridiculous.
Maybe he could wear a cape.
Oh, yeah, get him a cape. Put a mask on the guy.
We already saw him.
Give him a zip line.
We saw him with a mask before. He's better off without the mask.
Maybe not. You seen some of this stuff?
Well, he was more over in Lucha Underground, but still, he is better off without the mask.
Ricochet, Apollo Crews. After all these 17-minute matches, this got 4 minutes. And it's a 4-minute Ricochet, Apollo Crews match. It was fine for what it was, and then it was over. Ricochet won with the code breaker. And then finally, the Tyson Fury segment. Tyson comes out, talks about Braun. Braun comes out, says, I was just trying to have fun with you till you looked at me like you wanted a piece. When they were dragging you out, I was screaming, let him go. because you have no idea what I'm capable of. He says, I will literally eat you for lunch. He will not. That is incorrect. Braun Strowman will not literally eat Tyson Fury for lunch.
I think that's a figure of speech.
He said literally.
I know, but it's still...
He did not say figuratively, I will eat you for lunch. He said literally.
The script writers don't understand the English language.
Tyson says, Braun, you're lucky that they dragged you away. I'd have knocked you out. Braun says, no, you'd be on your back looking at the lights. Tyson says, I'm the heavyweight champion. How many titles have you won? They go face to face.
That is a good question. How many titles has he won?
Dude, he hasn't won the world title, I can tell you that much. He's probably won like the U.S. title or something like that, but tag belts.
I just remembered this story once. Okay, so Bam Bam Bigelow was this is like one of this great pro wrestling story. So Bam Bam Bigelow was just making his debut in like some nightclub, and it was on like, I don't remember, it was Entertainment Tonight or something. But Paul Heyman was actually his like publicist, and he debuted him, and there's like this 380-pound guy who's never wrestled before, and he's doing splashes off the top ropes, which back then was like unreal. You know what I mean? Like nobody had ever seen anything like it. And he's, 6'2" and 380 pounds and tattooed head, got that great heel look. And I'm trying to remember who it was, but somebody in Mid-South was like, God damn, to Bill Watts, did you see that guy on Entertainment Tonight? 380 pounds, flying off the top rope. Right. We should bring him as a heel. And you know what Bill Watts said? Who's he beating?
Oh.
I was just thinking like, what the fuck?
Well, to answer your other question, the only titles Braun Strowman has ever won in WWE are the tag team titles. And one of those was with Nicholas.
Yep. Yeah, that was a very short.
No U.S., no IC, no World, Money in the Bank, and he failed in his cash-in. Yeah. Tyson Fury should have brought all that up.
I don't think that Tyson Fury studied him enough. I think he just knew he never won the world title, and he knew he had.
So they brawl, break apart, brawl, break apart, brawl, break apart, brawl, break apart, punches, brawl, break apart. And finally, Braun leaves, and they cut backstage to Charlie, and Strowman actually cut a hell of a promo. That Tyson's a tough son of a bitch, but he's going to get these damn hands before it's over and done with. Then he rushes to the ring again. That was actually awesome. And that's how the show ended. I mean, I liked it. They just went to the well, ate too many times. But overall, I thought it was good.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's the whole show was built around Braun Strowman and Tyson Fury, and you got something good at the end. And at least it paid off. It's going to be interesting. I mean, they had, they had NFL, they had baseball playoffs. There's a lot of opposition. They were coming off a god awful show. Although I don't know if that's going to hurt the rating. I mean, it's possible. I don't think it will. I mean, I think if the rating's down, I think it's more due to the competition. But yeah, as far as building up the next pay-per-view, they did sort of announce stuff, but it's like, are we going to go in another pay-per-view? Oh, it's way too early to say. But let's see, we got this week. So we got 14, 21, and 28. So we got we basically got 3 weeks of TV to come up with a card. And of course, as we've seen from last week,
the ending of Raw had to be a double turn.
No.
Dude, are you kidding me? Can I stop watching this show already?
It was not a double turn. Absolutely not.
Did they know what was going to happen when they did that?
In what sense? That
Please don't tell me they were caught off guard, that Seth Rollins ruining the Firefly Funhouse and burning it down. They actually thought that was going to get a babyface reaction?
I can't answer that. I didn't even ask that question. I don't, I just figured that it was their way of writing it off, which surprised me because I wouldn't have thought that they would want to write that off, but they did. I guess that they don't want it on SmackDown, and Bray Wyatt's going to SmackDown, and that was the way of writing him off Raw. And yeah,
it can't just not do Firefly Funhouse on SmackDown. It has to be written off. You're supposed to believe they got burned down, so he can't build another set.
Maybe he's going to burn another set. Maybe it was just a way to give Seth Rollins something at the end of the show. I don't know. But no, Seth Rollins is still a babyface. That was not a turn.
Well, we can talk about whatever you want now. I'm pretty much checked out.
Okay.
I can't handle this show anymore. I cannot handle Raw.
You can't?
No, nothing makes sense. It's preposterous. Seth is booed throughout the show. Like, everything he does is booed. The Kabuki Warriors, like, the fans are just baffled. The Kabuki Warriors are supposed to be heels. Lacey Evans is like a babyface this week. The fans have no idea what's going on.
And that actually was weird because wasn't she already drafted to SmackDown on Friday?
Who even knows? I just know that they're cheering the Kabuki Warriors. They're booing Lacey. They're booing Natty. They're supposed to be the baby faces. Then we have this goofy thing with the Fun House. Everyone's booing Seth out of the building. They're cheering Bray, which they do all the time. Every time Seth shows up on television, he's booed out of the building. I'm just flabbergasted watching this stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you. They're making all the changes, you know. They put together new rosters that are exclusive to brands. Then they said the Kabuki Warriors are going to be on both brands. Then Lacey Evans was on the show, which I was sure she was already drafted. And since she was already drafted, why was she on the show? And why was she teaming with Natty in the first place? Since they were just feuding, I guess I can sort of understand that, there's some respect there or something. I wonder if that means that that was her babyface turn. Now she's going to be a babyface on SmackDown, or on SmackDown will they forget this ever happened? And I don't know the answer. I forgot to ask that question because there's so many more pressing questions anyway than Lacey Evans. But yeah, so in the draft, it appears that Raw got most of the best women and all of the best young wrestlers, which doesn't surprise me at all, given, just the people who are running both shows. But it's weird because it's like, it's very clear to me because, like, I know, like, the Paul Heyman guys, and they all ended up on Raw, with the exception of Brock Lesnar. But I think that was like an executive decision that Fox had to have Brock Lesnar. Because they're not going to get Ronda Rousey, at least for a while. So it appears to me that, instead of like, just like splitting them based on, 50-50 and everything, that they actually like probably must have had input, and Paul got all of his guys and the other guys got the leftovers. And, they got a decent roster. I got to chart everyone down and figure out who's got what. But I know that, like, you ended up with, I guess Bayley and Sasha Banks are going to be and Lacey Evans. Are they going to be like the anchors for the women's division there? Because you got Asuka, you got Kairi Sane, you got Charlotte, you got Becky Lynch, all on Raw. And, they got, they loaded up Raw with workers that aren't over. So I guess the job is now to get these guys over, going forward. The people like, Buddy Murphy, Cedric Alexander, Akira Tozawa, those type of people that are all.
Let's run these down here real quick, and then we'll talk about them. So here's all of the picks. So Raw gets Seth Rollins, SmackDown gets Brock Lesnar, Raw gets Charlotte. So I guess she and Becky will fight forever.
And so that explains why they had to take the title off of her. But it doesn't explain why she's done 6 months worth of promo work for Fox.
Well, because they had no plan 6 months ago. I'm sure they figured this all out a week ago.
Well, here's the thing. The rosters that they were originally going to go with, and there really weren't a lot of changes, but the rosters they were originally going to go with Raw and SmackDown, those were the rosters after WrestleMania. They weren't going to do another draft. And then I guess, for whatever reason, they just felt that they needed this secondary draft thing for ratings for the second week of, it's more for the second week of SmackDown ratings, not as much for the Raw ratings, because, the ratings of Raw are a lot less, I don't want to say less important, but, they, in a sense, Raw's going to do what Raw's going to do, and Raw's fine, and USA Network is going to be happy with Raw because it kills everything else on the network. But SmackDown, has obviously got, they've got to establish something. And, they're less of a given. And after the last week's rating, they're even less of a given than we thought. So, I guess that they just felt that, they needed that draft week and Brock Lesnar and things like that.
SmackDown gets the New Day. Raw gets
Shocker.
Andrade and Zelina Vega.
Okay, so with Andrade and Zelina Vega, so it's the whole thing, and they did do this is that the families all had to be together. So with Charlotte Flair there, that meant that Andrade had to be there. With Andrade, unless they want to break up Andrade and Zelina Vega, which they didn't, that also meant Aleister Black and Zelina Vega had to come because they're actually married in real life. And they also, because if you remember the 24/7 title, the original idea came from the USA Network. It was like their idea on, which is funny because remember the original idea was, what can we do for the third hour of Raw to keep people from tuning out? And of course, within weeks, the title had nothing to do with the third hour of Raw, but it is like a USA Network idea. So Ron Killings, R-Truth, had to stay there. But because Corey Graves got moved to SmackDown, Carmella had to go there. So if you're wondering why they were broken up, that's the reason.
We've got Kabuki Warriors to Raw.
And also to SmackDown.
Daniel Bryan to SmackDown.
Yeah, so that's no move. That's, so he's still there. I would have switched him to Raw, but I guess you can't overload it. Anyway, yeah.
Raw's Rusev, SmackDown is Bayley.
Okay. Well, Rusev obviously had to be there because of Lon and Bobby Lashley, so they're all going to stay on Raw, obviously. Bayley's got to be there for SmackDown Women's title, yeah.
Raw's Aleister Black, we talked about that.
We talked about him, yeah.
Raw gets Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, that's part of the deal with all of the young, good workers that aren't over. Almost all of them are going to, except for Chad Gable, which shocked me. I thought for sure that Chad Gable wasn't going to be on SmackDown, but he is. Anyway.
SmackDown Shinsuke Nakamura.
Mm-hmm.
Raw got Humberto Carrillo. SmackDown got Ali.
So Carrillo's another guy that's going to be in that category. So he's, I guess, off of 205 Live in NXT, and he's on the main roster. And so it's interesting. So they're going to probably be trying to groom him as that, next generation Hispanic star that they've, been trying to get since the last time they decided that Ray was too old, many, many, many years ago.
SmackDown gets Ali. Raw gets Eric Rowan. No mention of Luke Harper.
No mention of Luke Harper at all, which is very interesting. When he came back, they only had an idea or ideas for up until the last pay-per-view. It was basically just to set up that tag team match, Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. And so the Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan thing, everybody was figuring Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, like they keep going, and it turns into, everyone, I mean, the thing that everyone was thinking of was that the Dusty Rhodes, Ole Anderson, and the Assassins thing, where it turns into a cage match and they all turn on Roman Reigns and beat him, right? Well, Eric Rowan got moved to Raw. So evidently it's not going to play out that way. I don't know what happens to Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan and their storyline unless so Eric Rowan's out of that story. And Luke Harper I don't know what's going on with Luke Harper.
I got Raw, Buddy Murphy, SmackDown, Rude and Ziggler.
Okay, so Buddy Murphy is Paul Heyman is super, super high on Buddy Murphy. So I figured if he had input, probably more than almost anyone else. The guys that I figured that he would get in would be, Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black, and both of them ended up on Raw.
SmackDown gets Rude and Ziggler.
Yeah, well, at least so they at least get a program probably with New Day. So, there's that.
Raw gets Jinder Mahal. We're now scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Okay, so it's really interesting you mentioned that. Okay, one of the names, besides Luke Harper, is the Usos. It's like no mention of the Usos. And those guys are like super talented.
Well, they'll be in the supplemental draft. We'll know tomorrow morning.
They haven't even been mentioned at all, like at all.
I don't know. Maybe they forgot they were there.
God, I hope not. That would be terrible.
SmackDown gets Carmella. Raw gets Truth.
We talked about that.
We've got Raw getting Samoa Joe. SmackDown getting The Miz.
So that was a change because wasn't Miz on the Raw side?
I have no idea.
He was. Or maybe he wasn't. I don't even. No. Miz was moved to Raw, so they moved him to SmackDown. So I don't know.
When was he moved to Raw?
What?
When was he moved to Raw?
The last time they did a draft.
Okay, well, he's on SmackDown now.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say moved. He's just on SmackDown. Kira Tozawa on Raw. Baron Corbin, SmackDown.
Another one of the good workers, Baron Corbin on SmackDown.
And Raw.
Eric Bischoff's high on Baron Corbin, so that doesn't surprise me.
And Raw is Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, I guess, people barely even remember that he was around. He wasn't doing anything. So he, he's obviously is there. Today he was there to get Ricochet over. So he's a guy.
And then the final picks. This is the final round of the draft. We finally get, and I don't even know how this makes sense. Rey Mysterio is on Raw, but Cain Velasquez is feuding with Brock on SmackDown. So is Rey no longer his mouthpiece? Or has nobody thought of that?
Oh, man. That's a really good question. I mean, I was thinking the same thing. I don't know what that means. But here's another one. Okay, speaking of not drafting the Usos, nobody drafted Cain Velasquez. It's like he's getting a Universal Championship match, which is, or no, I take that back. He's getting a WWE Championship match. Seth Rollins is the Universal Champion. So how come he's not if he's good enough to get a championship match, shouldn't he be drafted? I guess Cain Velasquez is in theory on SmackDown, but they probably haven't even decided that. So maybe Cain wrestles Brock, and then Cain goes to Raw with Rey. But who the hell knows? Okay, so I got it. There's a lot of unanswered questions here, aren't there?
Telling me.
Let me write this down.
SmackDown gets Shorty Gable.
Okay, that one really surprised me, by the way. So we got
SmackDown,
Cain Velasquez, Usos, Luke Harper. Who else does anyone care about that we don't have answers about?
It's a great question.
Okay.
Did Authors of Pain get drafted?
Authors of Pain are going to be on Raw. I don't know if they were drafted or not, but I know they're going to be on Raw for the very obvious reason.
Well, the reason I ask is because also going to Raw is Titus O'Neil, who the last time that he had a real match on Raw or SmackDown, not including the 24/7 comedy, August 20 of 2018.
The last time you had a television match?
Not counting main event, not counting the 24/7 title. The last actual match that he had on Raw was when him and Apollo lost to the Authors of Pain. Okay. August 20, 2018.
Wow. I got one for you. The last time, this has to do with Mike Kanellis, who also wasn't drafted. And I don't know what's going on with him. That's a real interesting thing. But Mike Kanellis, you know how he complained that he wasn't doing house shows? The last time he worked a house show was October 2018, a year since he's worked a house show.
Wow.
So, I mean, he's getting a, well, we could talk, I guess we should talk about Mike Kanellis.
We'll talk about him in a second. The last person drafted was Liv Morgan to Raw. So that's Mike nice. Kanellis has asked for his release, then they re-signed a 5-year deal. Now he wants out again.
Yeah, he's not happy.
There has been very little sympathy for Mike Kanellis I have seen anywhere on the internet.
It's not about sympathy. He just wants out. I mean, if you're in this storyline, if you're in this storyline, don't you want out?
Yeah, it sucks. But what did you re-sign a 5-year deal for?
I guess he probably didn't. I bet when he signed this, he wasn't counting on this storyline. I'll bet he never even considered this storyline was going to happen. I mean, if you're Mike Kanellis, would you consider that they're going to do this storyline? you wouldn't even think of it.
Well, actually, if I've watched any WWE over the course of my lifetime, I know there's at least like a 25% chance at some point during your career you're going to be in a storyline that humiliates you.
Well, this is very high in the list of.
It is very high. It's one of the worst ever.
Yeah. Well, there's your answer. So anyway, the thing that's so weird is that like even if he asked for his release, even if he wanted to ask for his release, why go public with it? Because you've already seen what happens. Now, granted, I know they did release Sean Spears, but then Sean Spears actually got a role. So it's kind of like they're not. I just don't see them releasing anyone. But they may release him just because he's. Who knows? I mean, they didn't release Luke Harper. But yeah, and I don't know what's going on with Maria. It's only him, as far as I could tell. He never mentions Maria in that post. He just wants out because he wants to work for his money. The other thing with him is well, I mean, again, I don't know. It's like. I know that you think that the grass is greener, and there are guys, and I mentioned their names many times, that really need to get out of there. Mojo Rawley for one, because he hasn't even been looking in the mirror at himself lately, has he? I mean, he hasn't even done that for months. He's just like disappeared. So there's certain guys, and freaking Gable, which I've only mentioned 500 times, is another one. I mean,
Gable, Mojo, No Way, Kanellis. There's
No Way
1,000 of them.
No Way. Yeah, I could see.
No Way's not getting humiliated, but they're doing nothing with the guy.
Yeah, but
Zero.
I don't. Okay, but here's the thing. With No Way Jose, it's like I don't know where he goes.
He opens every house show.
No. I mean, the point. Well, I don't know, but I don't know where he goes. It's like, is there a demand for No Way Jose? Is there a place he could go? I mean, there may very well be. I don't know the answer, but it's like he doesn't stick out in my mind that like, if he's on the free agent market, yeah. I mean, would AEW want him? Meh. I don't know. I mean, names never come up. I wouldn't think so. I would go negative on him. Would Impact want him? Not so much. Would Ring of Honor want him? I would go with no. Would New Japan want him? I would go with no. So, like, No Way Jose to me is kind of like, it's not someone who I would. I mean, it's like if he's really unhappy, would you say go? I'd say yeah, go if you're unhappy. But it's not like I would say get out of there. Please get out of there for your career. Whereas with the other guys that we've mentioned, I would say that very strongly, because they're just like Mojo. I just think Mojo. I don't know how far he can go, but I know he's going to get a chance to do it there. And I've seen flashes of, he's a really good athlete. He's a smart guy, and he's got real good drive. And it's just not going to happen in WWE. And I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen, I don't think that he's like one of those guys that really has figured out that there's a world outside of WWE. So that may be what holds him back. And he's, but he's got to make his own call. But with Gable, I mean, Gable's like, I would say that like every single company would want Chad Gable, and every single company would, once he got out of this, like, once the whatever it is, the stench of the gimmick got away, which I think would probably happen in like a week. Because I think that the AEW fans, if he showed up, they're smart enough to know that he's really good. And if they're not, they'll figure it out within the third week. New Japan, the guy would be like he would just be absolutely phenomenal in New Japan. And it's like, so that's where, so those are the guys that need to get out of there. Mike Kanellis, I just don't know what his prospects are on the outside. And, but I can, look, I can see why you would want to leave. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to figure that out. But, yeah, it's a weird one because he got a 5-year contract in June, and it's a good money contract. But, if you look at it another way, you want to do something in pro wrestling. You're 34 years old. You're tied to this company until you're 39. And given how you're being used right now, this is like, it's a pretty bad deal. I mean, it's like, if he has this ambition to do anything or to be something in pro wrestling, I can see why he feels he needs to get out of there. And he's probably not wrong if he wants to, go out there and have good matches. He ain't going to get any chance in WWE to have good matches because
listen,
they don't even book him on house shows.
Didn't you say that he hadn't done a house show since October?
Since October.
Okay, so he hadn't done a house show for 9 months when he signed his new contract.
Yes. I guess maybe he just, he did want to leave, if you remember. Then they just threw so much money at him that he decided to stay. And maybe he just figured out that, the paycheck's not worth it, given this angle. It's funny because people will go like, oh, the wrestlers, they only care about money. And you know what? I mean, of the wrestlers that I talk with and and am in contact with, for the most part, money is to a degree a motivating thing, but it's lower on the list than the previous generation by a big amount. I think a lot of them are, there's different things that they want. Some of them want to go out there and be pushed. Some of them want to go out there and have good matches. Some of them want creative freedom. Actually, a lot of them want that. I think that's real high on a lot of people's lists. And some of them just want to be in WWE because that was their dream growing up. Everyone's got different things. And I think, with Mike Bennett, I don't know what his thing is, but I think he wants to be, somebody in pro wrestling. And all of a sudden it's like, maybe when he signed that deal, he figured they were paying him so much money that they'll do something with him. And now I think with this angle going on, he realizes that this angle is like the point of no return. I'm not saying that he will never come back from this angle, but I do think that, the odds are very strong that he'll never come back from this angle. And I think maybe that realization's like, man, this is like the worst angle in the world to be a part of. Maybe I'm not so happy after all. So anyway, it's funny, cause he just signed, but like I said, when he signed, he didn't know that this angle was coming. Nobody did. So,
nobody knows any angle that's coming.
Yeah, well, this is the one that
strikes all sorts of people. Think Chad Gable knew it was going to be Shorty Gable?
No, but that's another one. But he,
Think Rusev knew that his wife was going to leave him for Bobby Lashley?
Yeah, well, maybe he should leave too.
Well, unfortunately, everybody can't leave. Is my point. Like you signed the contract, you're there. It's not like you don't know what's going to happen. It's not like you signed with New Japan and all of a sudden they started doing like angles where his wife was leaving him and said someone else impregnated her. It's WWE. That's what happens in this company.
Well, sometimes you sign those contracts and sometimes you all of a sudden realize that, that it's, people get unhappy at their creative. It's like the idea that like, oh, they're just happy to get a paycheck. It's like, a lot of these guys, it's like, in real life, there's more to life than a paycheck. And if you take it, here's the thing. It's like they want you to not take it seriously, but nobody gets anywhere in wrestling unless you take it seriously. And if you take it seriously, then, some people are going to embrace this kind of stuff no matter what and just go, I'm going to make the best out of the worst creative. And then some people who just don't have the ability to make the best out of the worst creative. We're just going to want to get out of there. People quitting jobs in wrestling is as old as wrestling and going somewhere else. For years and years, we haven't had a situation where you can viably go somewhere else. And now we do. So, it's again, but yeah, I mean, he probably shouldn't have signed that contract in June, but if he had known in June what he knows now, he wouldn't have signed the contract. So, they didn't tell him, by the way, once your wife gets pregnant, because I don't think when they signed, they didn't know that she was pregnant. They found out right after. But, they're going to do this absolutely terrible angle for your career. And yeah, that's the deal.
All right, we got to get through this Raw quickly because we had a lot of news. We had a Becky-Charlotte match where the winner, their brand, got to get the first pick. And last few minutes were good. Becky crucifix finish. So Raw gets the first draft pick here.
I thought this match was real sloppy early for these two. They just seemed off. Not so much at the end, but I'd say the first 2/3 of the match, I was like, they weren't in sync.
We had Charlie interviewing, quote, one of the projected top picks tonight. It's the champion, Seth Rollins.
Well, they were right. He was the top pick.
He's booed out of the building. He talks about being drafted the same brand as The Fiend. He says, what happened at Hell in a Cell, I'm not proud of it. It's not something I'm ashamed of either. Bray may not be a human being. He almost dragged me to hell, but I escaped. And tonight I'm going Fiend hunting. Cringeworthy promo. More to come later.
Yeah. So even though they're on different brands, Seth's defending the title against him at Crown Jewel.
Yes.
And he's wrestling in that match. I think he's wrestling in that match. They kind of like when they were running through the match, the Hogan and Flair match, and they mentioned, that Seth, who did the angle just last week, it was like, he may not be in this match. So it tells me that they haven't figured out if he's going to do 2 matches or just do 1.
Of course not.
I know. Can you imagine? I mean, this is like, there's levels of questioning and disorganization.
WCW.
It isn't quite that bad, but I know.
No, it's bad. It may not be WCW in 2000, but we're like WCW 98 here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say we're WCW. We're not quite 99, but yeah, I'd say WCW in the summer of 98, maybe the fall. I would say that that's right.
We have Jim Cramer talking the draft.
No, well, okay. The TV still isn't as bad as that. Because I remember watching that fall 98 WCW television just going like, oh, they're just going down the tube so quick. And this TV...
That's how I feel watching this show.
I don't feel going down the tubes. I just feel... I actually have some hope for Raw. I mean, I look at that lineup that they got and where they're going to go. But some of the organizations... And
do you know the mountain that Paul Heyman is climbing?
Oh, hell yes. Okay. I sure do.
So there's a limited amount of hope that I have for this. Like, he has made the show better.
Yep.
But, dude, you watch this show, it's one disaster after another. It's out of his hands. And he's never going to be able to control everything. So, no, I have a limited amount of hope for this show.
Okay. Well, I can't argue with that because there's been nothing on either show where I would go like, we're ready to turn this thing around. Even though, like, there's so much talent out there. I mean, the talent is so good. It's just, they're not, all the problems that have been the problems are still there.
Have some panel stuff, draft stuff, and then it's Andrade versus Ali. And they have a decent match.
They had a nice match.
They have to explain to Lawler why Raw gets 3 draft picks and SmackDown gets 2. He's baffled.
Well, I mean, if you weren't around for the last draft where they did the exact same thing and he wasn't, you would ask that question. Why? This makes no sense. The other thing is again, wait, so was Ali drafted?
Yeah, we mentioned his name. He's drafted later.
Ali got drafted later.
Yes.
So I guess he could be on the show. I was confused, but he was on SmackDown before. Anyway, whatever.
So he hits a flip dive over Zelina, then she gives him a diving Hurricane Rana, throws him inside. Andrade pins him with the DDT. More draft stuff. We have a Colin Jost, Michael Che weekend update segment. I wrote that I hope Saturday Night Live is funnier than this, but I know tomorrow I'll read on the board everybody telling me that it's not.
Don't you think now that they've done all this, that these kind of segments with the celebrities, for the most part, that they were bragging about and, promoting and everything and hoping, again, it's like, USA's, doing that because they're, NBC Universal, and then obviously a lot of Fox characters on these shows. I find now, after the Friday show, by the end of the Friday show and then on this show as well, It's like, I find most of them to be counterproductive. It's like you have all these celebrities, and now these two guys were actually the exception because they totally knew what they were talking about. But in most cases, when you have these celebrities and they clearly have no idea what they're talking about, it kind of like almost tells you that, like, wrestling's not even popular.
It's not cool. You're paying these people to say something about it. You know they don't know anything about it.
Right.
That's what this is.
Right. But these two guys were the exception because they know who Braun Strowman is, and they were like in with it and all that. That said, I mean, I don't know that this segment was a positive either. It wasn't as much of a negative as some of the other ones, but I really question now the use of these segments because, there's so many of them and on this show and everything, it was kind of like when it's another one and it means nothing. So I wouldn't like be running around doing these anymore.
Viking Raiders beat Rude and Ziggler for the tag titles. Very good match. Some great near falls at the finish. Viking experience on Ziggler for the belts. And then they cut a promo where they said, "We are the first team undefeated in WWE to win the IWGP, the Ring of Honor, the NXT, and now the Raw Tag Team titles." Mentioned all of those belts.
Yep.
This was great.
Yep, that was kind of interesting. Well, I'm figuring that's probably a Paul Heyman directive. So the interesting thing on that is that WWE is mentioning, like these different non-WWE affiliated championships to build up this team and give them credibility, as a way to make them like they're like this really badass team, which they are. And AEW, as we noticed with Moxley, and other people there, like Omega, they have never mentioned, I guess we'll find out this week, but they never talk about Kenny Omega being IWGP Heavyweight Champion. They never talk about Moxley being U.S. Champion. I don't know if they'll even mention the Pentagon Phoenix or AAA Tag Team Champions when they're on the show on Wednesday night. So it's interesting that the thing that WWE was for decades criticized for, like, not acknowledging that anybody else existed. It's just interesting that this happened. But again, this is Heyman, and this is Heyman's mentality. He's trying to get these guys over, in any way possible. And I guess he figured that gives them credibility, that they've been tag team champions everywhere they've gone. So therefore, he had it mentioned.
Aleister Black beat Eric Young via submission. It was quick. Street Profits get attacked by the OC and laid out. So there's going to be a 6-person tag coming up here soon with Street Profits and a partner versus the OC.
Yeah, it's on Raw next week. So did you see that WWE tweeted that it would be later in the show? And I actually thought when they did that promo, I thought that was going to be the main event on the show. And then the show ended without that match. But it is scheduled for next week.
Ricochet promo. He's got his Superheroes Are Real shirt. Does a Superheroes Are Real promo. Then he does a match. All they do is talk about how he's just like Spider-Man. Like, I can't even watch Ricochet matches anymore. This is the depths that we've fallen to. I don't even want to see him.
I know what you mean when I watch that promo. They need to drop that Superheroes Are Real thing and go with something else.
It's death. And then having to compare him to a superhero. We can't even talk about what he's doing or how great he is. We just have to talk about how he's like Spider-Man. He's like Spider-Man. Oh, it's like Spider-Man. Over and over again during this match. It's like the Shorty Gable thing. They said 50,000 times.
It's not as bad as Shorty Gable, though.
No, my point is, they said Shorty Gable 50,000 times on Friday.
They ram it over your head.
They have to say Spider-Man 50,000 times here. Like, you're going to forget because they didn't say it 10 seconds ago. That the guy's like Spider-Man. I got it that he's a superhero.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, they've never been subtle.
No, they've never been subtle. That's one of their big problems.
It's on the list. That's for sure. It's on that list, yeah.
Lana's getting massage. No more accent. She wants it deeper. She wants it harder. Then Lashley shows up and rubs all over her and says, This is so fun, but probably not so much fun for Rusev. That's the segment.
It probably isn't so much fun for Rusev.
I'm sure it's not.
I'm sure he's probably having second thoughts about coming back right about now, too.
If Jerry Lawler doing the contract signing for the Strowman deal, he says, never before has an undefeated boxing champion stood toe-to-toe with a WWE superstar. I'm like, you guys can't even remember Floyd Mayweather?
Okay, so...
Seriously?
But Dio Madden did correct him immediately and said he meant heavyweight. Because there's never been an undefeated heavyweight boxing champion, because Ali had lost when he did the thing with Monsoon. He'd lost to Frazier. I think it's the only loss he had, but he had lost to Frazier. And Holyfield and Tyson had lost as well. So this is the first undefeated heavyweight boxing champion to do WWE. As far as I know. Let me think about this. He would be the first one. So, because the Marciano never did any pro wrestling matches. But as soon as he said that, I was thinking the same thing. It's like Mayweather, but then, you could see Dio Madden corrected right away. So somebody, whether it was whoever it was on the headsets, buzzed
clearly
right
Vince, because it's a weight issue. Heavyweight.
Yeah, well, that I'm sure that the line Lawler was supposed to give was supposed to say heavyweight, and he forgot the word heavyweight, and so therefore, Floyd was undefeated. So yeah.
So Braun cuts a pretty good promo. He's gonna end his undefeated streak. Tyson cuts a promo. They do a face-off. I saw so many Tyson Fury promos over the last couple of years, and he's great. And in WWE, it's like, what happened? I think it's the scripting thing. You don't say.
Yeah.
Well, Braun slams the table, breaks it, and then Tyson pretends like he can't break a pen in half, but then snaps it in two, and we're all supposed to be horrified.
What was the point of that?
I have absolutely no idea.
I mean, I watched it, and it's like, I don't know. I just don't understand it, but...
Buddy Murphy beat Cedric Alexander. Match was good. We had a crown jewel plug. Seth versus Fiend, Falls Count Anywhere. Probably a count-out finish if we're going by the WCW manual from 98 and 99.
God, what do they do for finish? Because Seth has to win.
Why?
He can't lose the title.
Why? Why should he? I guess because the Fiend's on the other
you know what, though? You know what they could do, though? I didn't even think about this.
Kane wins and goes to Raw, and the Fiend wins and goes to SmackDown.
I don't think Kane's going to win, but I mean, I suppose you could do that too. No, but there's going to be like on tomorrow night's, tomorrow night they're going to do that Booker T, Renee Young show,
Oh, the
right?
big trade?
There's going to be a big trade, so I wonder if Bray Wyatt ends up back on Raw.
Could be.
Yeah, and we were worrying about all that. Well, yeah, we got to wait until Tuesday night because these rosters are not like solid until after the trade and after all these people like Cesaro and the rest, right? That we still don't know where they're going.
So we got that match. We got the Team Hogan versus Team Flair, the Brock match, the Braun match.
They named a bunch of new guys in that match in the Hogan Flair. So it's Rollins, Rusev, and now Ricochet has been added, and there's two more guys to go. And the other team is Lashley, Corbin, Nakamura, and Randy Orton, who, by the way, just got drafted to Raw and wasn't on Raw.
How about that?
Yeah. So that's where we're at there. And then, Seth and Bray, and then Mansoor and Cesaro, which I guess is just there to, because they're going to give, I'll bet you, of course, I could be wrong on this because it is WWE, but I don't think I'm wrong on this one. I don't think they're going to do this to their hosts. I think that Mansoor might be beating Cesaro.
I would be flabbergasted if he did not beat Cesaro.
Yeah. Did you hear, by the way, speaking of Saudi Arabia, I had seen today, and I don't think this is a confirmed number, that Joshua, Anthony Joshua's fighting Ruiz in Saudi Arabia in December as part of, this whole big thing. That Joshua alone is getting $75 million for that fight. And they are just spending so much money, and they're spending all this money, and so many people are, like they're wanting like all these big events, and they did get boxing, They did get Joshua Ruiz, and they did get Tyson Fury, a boxer, to go there. And but like they didn't get UFC, and there's they obviously they didn't get the NHL or anything like that. I don't know if they tried, but it'd be I could not imagine. I don't know. I mean, there's the NBA's already got their own problems with China, but which is actually a similar story. Yeah, it's interesting though that of what they did get and what they didn't get.
So anyway, the main event, Kabuki Warriors, Natty and Lacey Evans. We talked about this match. Lacey got pinned because she's going to SmackDown. And then Seth burned down the Firefly Funhouse to rampant boos in the arena. And that was the end of the show.
Yeah, that was the show.
All right, so we had a Raw show here tonight, and certainly not the most exciting show in the world. We did get the debut of the Street Profits in a tag team match, despite last week them announcing a 6-man, which went out on social media for the show last week, and then it just got pulled. And then after a week of building up a 6-man, they just did a tag match.
Didn't they, during the show, talk about, they did an interview talking about it being a 6-man and having a secret partner?
Well, they didn't actually say it was a 6-man with a partner. What they said was they had backup.
They said they had backup. That's true.
Yes.
That's true. But it was certainly...
it was implied. It had been advertised in advance.
But during the show, when they were talking about it, it pretty much was implied it was going to be a 6-man. So, yeah.
Sounds like one hand does not know what the other hand is doing as usual.
Yeah. So, I mean, the show was... when I was watching the show, the one thing that was pretty clear to me is that this is a show that is like... It's finally like trying to build stuff for the future. It's like it wasn't a big hotshot show to do ratings. It was a way to introduce new people and get things going. Kind of, in a sense, what everybody needs to do right now, because everybody's trying to introduce new people to television, and, exactly what SmackDown kind of isn't doing. So, like this show was about introducing the Street Profits and Humberto Carrillo, and who else was there? Was another person that was not so much. What was it? I got my wrong notes. No wonder. I was looking at Bound for Glory, which didn't introduce anyone, but Aleister Black and who else?
Andrade. They tried to do something with
Andrade to a degree. But, and of course, Drew McIntyre returned from his injury and, just kind of, get this new cast of characters over. They got the Viking Raiders out there, the Rusev and Bobby Lashley feud. So, there's a couple of good matches. But that's kind of what it was, in the building to the Street Profits and OC. And, when you do a show like this, with new people, and it may be tough on ratings. Well, I mean, we'll see tomorrow. I mean, there was a good football game, or I don't know if the game was good, but the Patriots were in it. I mean, so it's one of the the biggest marquee teams in the country. So there's no baseball. In fact, I think they're pretty much spared baseball. There's no World Series games on Mondays. Baseball's kind of done now for them, and now it's just football. But when I was watching this, I was not feeling big ratings off of the show, but I was feeling that at least it's trying to prepare for the future. I don't think the Kane thing, to me, that wasn't as strong as it should have been. Although it
didn't work.
Yeah, I would say
the crowd was absolutely so beyond dead when he got in there and started actually brawling with Shelton Benjamin. I mean, it was silence in there.
Yeah, Ray and Shelton Benjamin were very good, but Kane went out there, and I think the mistake was that Kane went out there and amateur wrestled with Shelton and did ground and pound that didn't look good. And I think that there's probably something else that he could have done. Like just a quick kick or something, like a black mass, but he didn't. And I thought that Kane walking down, he's got his face was like very intense, but he was out there, and when he took Shelton Benjamin down, the thing that was, you could see where I felt was, I'm doing pro wrestling, I don't want to hurt him. So he was throwing these punches with no intent to hurt him, and they looked like bad punches. So I didn't think that segment worked for Kane. Yeah. So.
Well, I had some thoughts on this show, but I'm going to actually get to them as I get to where I thought about them in the show. And there were a few things on this show that, I mean, you're absolutely right about what the show is all about, but I got some things I got to say. But anyway, it opens up with Ric Flair coming out. First, they showed a recap.
I will say Ric Flair was very entertaining. He kind of got lost a few times, but he has more personality than everyone else on the show. And one of the key things with Ric is that, Ric is not doing a scripted interview. And boy, is that obvious, because he's just out there. He was just out there, but he was out there, and he was so happy to be out there too.
So it opened with a recap of Seth burning down the Funhouse. And by the way, they announced at the end of the show that the Funhouse is just back on Friday. Yeah,
it's back on Friday. He's already rebuilt it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? What was that all about?
Like, totally matter of fact, Vic Joseph just says, Bray has rebuilt it. And we moved on. And I was like, that's it?
We freaking torched it, and it's already rebuilt?
Yes.
Oh, I know. When I heard that, and it wasn't even, it was like at the very, like you said, like the very end of the show.
It was like an afterthought.
It was a plug for Friday's show. Friday the Funhouse returns, and it's like, they freaking torched it on Raw to write it off. It was, so it was written off Raw with a fire, but it's okay for SmackDown.
Oh, wow.
It
was written off Raw when the dude got drafted, I thought.
Oh, my God. Anyway, that's just like another, what can you say?
So Flair comes out, he gets a big pop, he's trying to cut a heel promo, saying the city has no more champions, they should all cheer him.
Nobody's going to boo Ric Flair.
They all cheer him as he asked. Says Crown Jewel is coming, his team is going to crush Team Hogan, gets the word pro wrestlers in there, said I got the last hand to play tonight. He introduces his fifth man, a badass Drew McIntyre. He's having the time of his life out there. So Drew comes out, he says he's granting the favor to Ric Flair, tells Flair to grab a seat, watch him do what he does to Ricochet tonight. So the show opens with Drew and Ricochet, and it starts out as a generic WWE match. They do some stuff, they lay on the mat, they do some holds, they go to commercial. I'm like, my God, this match. So then they come back, and it actually turns into a very good match.
This is really good. This was a really good match, yeah.
A big flip dive. They come back, and Flair's going nuts, challenging Hogan to show up at SmackDown on Friday. He's being interviewed at ringside in the middle of this match.
Well, that's like the new thing they're trying to copy real sports with, like, but usually they don't have like when they'll interview coaches.
It's usually during a pause in the play.
Well, they've been doing this in UFC now, where they'll have a sideline reporter come to and interview like the cornermen and things like that, which I think is so annoying, but that's like the new thing that they do. So that's what they were trying to copy was that sports thing. And usually like they don't have managers, so usually don't have a chance to do that here. But with Flair at ringside, yeah, she interviewed Flair like as the match is going on. That was quite something.
So the announcers are talking about how Ricochet is like Spider-Man. Look at him, he's like Spider-Man. Then Jerry Lawler goes, look at Drew McIntyre, he's like Superman. They're talking about superheroes, and these guys are, and I'm so annoyed. But the match is just getting great. So Ricochet tries to dive, Drew swats him out of midair, buckle bomb, sit out power bomb, Ricochet kicks out, the place goes crazy. Ricochet hits his Death Valley driver, he goes up top for the shooting star, the fans are on their feet, he hits his shooting star, they're going crazy. And at that moment I thought, you know what? If he pins Drew McIntyre right here, like this match right here has done more to make this guy into a superhero than all of these months of them coming on TV and telling us what a superhero this guy is. And what happens? Drew kicks out.
Yeah.
He kicks out, and he avoids the 450. He posts Ricochet. He claymores him, and he pins him. And if that's not enough, after pinning the guy, he picks him up, and then he beats him up again, and he lays him out with a DDT. He just throws his body out of the ring. And all I could think was a story that Lance told where when Lance went to WCW, I guess Russo was convinced that there's no way this guy can get over.
Who, Lance Storm?
Yes. And
whatever.
And then, what's his name? Nikki Bella's husband, or their mom's husband, Johnny Ace. Johnny Ace is like, I can get this guy over. And so him and Russo had this bet, and the bet was Johnny Ace bet he could get the guy over, and Russo just bet the guy could never get over.
So the problem with this bet is that at the end of the bet, Laurinaitis was going to say, I got him over, and Russo was going to say, you didn't get him over, and that's how the bet was going to end.
Well, one way or the other, as I'm watching this, all I could think was, it's like there's a bet between Vince and Paul, where Paul is like, I can get Ricochet over, and Vince is like, he ain't going to get over, and Vince is cheating because he's booking the finishes.
That did not happen here. This was about McIntyre.
It was about getting Drew McIntyre, the big guy, over.
It was because, and again, I don't know where they're going, but because I know what their plans are I know that their plans for both guys are to be strong right now. And I think that they're probably trying to get McIntyre over for a top spot right now.
Well, then maybe Ricochet shouldn't have been in this match.
Well, that's
because he is not over, and he had a real opportunity to go over in this match, and then they beat him, and then beat him up a second time, and tossed him out like just trash is what it was.
I'll just tell you that I had absolutely no problem with them losing. I agree with you that they didn't need to go that far because what they've done before. For whatever reason, there's that mentality of doing that. Like they did the same thing with Cedric Alexander. It's like you don't need.
Yeah, that did wonders for Cedric.
I know we haven't even seen him. But when the match was going on, I mean, I expected that McIntyre would win because it's his first match back, and I know that they really want to get him going now, whereas Ricochet is more of a long-term project. So I just figured that he's going to win. He's going to win.
A long-term project in Vince McMahon's WWE.
Well,
he has no hope.
You're probably right because, you're probably right. But I just figured that McIntyre was winning. I thought it was I thought it was, if you're going to do the match, and again, you could say don't do the match.
That is what I would say.
Yeah. I mean, there's other guys who can lose, but I think that the idea was that they wanted a really hot match. They got a really hot match. And, so that didn't surprise me. But yeah, did they need to overkill? No, they didn't need to overkill. And again, this may play out in a different way as well because, maybe there's something that's going to happen in Saudi Arabia. Maybe, they're going to, because they're both on opposite teams. So perhaps there's something there. Now, I'm going to bet you that probably isn't the case, but it always could be. So, but I did expect that McIntyre would win, so I wasn't upset at Ricochet losing on this one. As long as, if the match had sucked, I would have said different. If they weren't allowed to do a lot, I would have said different, but they were allowed to have a really good match. And, I'm not saying, I don't know, it's weird because I'm not Humberto Carrillo lost a really good match, and I thought that was good for him. Ricochet lost a really good match here, and I thought that it was more running in place.
Dude, it's totally different. Humberto Carrillo did a really good match, and when it was over, he got beaten, and then Seth went over and he shook his hand. This match, Ricochet hits his big move, Drew kicks out of it, Drew pins him clean, and then Drew beats him up for good measure. I mean, hello, who put that together? And then the idea is to get Ricochet over?
No, the idea for this match was absolutely to get Drew McIntyre.
Well, I know, but you said that Ricochet is like a long-term project. Unless the long-term project is to bury him, then I don't see what the point of this was.
Ricochet, well, you can lose on your way up in certain cases. I never expect anyone to go and beat.
Have someone kick out of your finish, lose, and then get beat up afterwards. That's on the way up. That's on the way down.
They didn't kick out of his finish.
He did. It was a shooting star.
That's not his finish.
He's finished with the shooting star many times.
His winning move here's a 630, not a shooting star. So no, I didn't expect him to finish the guy with a shooting star. His moves of 630. So they didn't kick out of his finish.
I guarantee that we can find examples of him winning
there may
matches
be, but
with
his finish is supposed to be a 630. That's what he wins his big matches with.
So anyway, Charlie interviews the OC, and they talk about this mystery partner here tonight, and that's that. We got a Aleister Black promo. He wants somebody to pick a fight. The guy that picks a fight is Jason Reynolds. We get a squash match. Aleister wins. We got an Akam and Razor promo. So they go on TV and they tell us that they're the newest team signed to Raw. They claim they were on SmackDown and they were drafted to Raw. This is absolutely not true.
They were drafted to Raw, but they were
on Raw.
Yeah, I know.
They were never on SmackDown. They said we were on SmackDown. We were drafted to Raw. I'm like, how stupid do you think I am? You guys were never on SmackDown.
I don't remember.
Maybe during the shake-up or the whatever the stupid wild card thing was called, but they were on Raw. They've always been a Raw team. Now they're changing history here.
I guess I don't remember them on SmackDown, but I don't really. They were never really. They were one of those things where they may have been, but they were one of those teams that they kind of got a really big push at first.
They were drafted to Raw, and then one of them got hurt, and then they completely vanished.
Yeah, and then they kind of got forgotten.
And then we just saw them doing vignettes on Raw, and that was it.
Yep.
That's what happened. They were never on SmackDown.
Yep.
King's Court with Lawler and Rusev. So the announcers, as Rusev is coming down to the ring, tell us, our hearts must go out to Rusev. I'm thinking, okay, so I know that Lana is with Lashley now, but we honestly have no idea why, because there was never a storyline. It's just all of a sudden one day she left him. We have no idea if Rusev did anything wrong, what Lana's side of the story is.
He didn't, because Lana's just a cheating bitch, and he just loved her, and he still wants her back. I didn't like that, by the way.
So you've made up a story, by the way, because we have no evidence of any of this.
No, they told it that she... that he said that he still wants her back. He still had his wedding ring on and the whole bit, and he was very sad. And the idea is that she got mad because he spent too much money sending money to his parents in Bulgaria or his family in Bulgaria.
He meddled in her modeling contracts, and he wouldn't let her spend enough money
on herself.
That's what they said.
Yep.
So she's a terrible, horrible person. We don't even know what happened. That's my point. This just picked up out of nowhere.
She looked like a horrible person to me.
I mean, she was with Lashley, but I mean, how do we know that Rusev didn't do something dastardly to her and that's why she left him?
Because she's been acting like a horrible person.
I see.
She's just laughing at him.
I see.
While she's making out with Lashley. She's rubbing it in. See, it's one thing when someone breaks up with you, but when they rub it in your frickin' face. But... even worse is that you still want them back. I didn't like that. I think that we could be mad at Lashley all he wants, but it's like if someone does that to you and you're like a pro wrestler and you're supposed to be like a big alpha male star, I don't think that you should. I don't know. When he was like this thing, I still have hope that she's going to come back and I don't take my ring off. And it was just kind of like, man, that's not a baby face to me, because that's not a guy. At that point I go like, you're a sap, cut your losses. You know what I mean? Learn your lesson, cut your losses, move on. And if that's kind of like the reaction, and then you still want her, I mean, I know that shit happens in real life for sure, but it's like, but that doesn't make you a baby face to me. That makes you a sap. So
crowd did the what gimmick, and Rusev said, knock it off, this guy's a Hall of Famer. And they actually stopped.
Briefly. Then they went and did it again later in the show.
Well, they did do it later in the show, but that was because someone was in the ring who was decidedly not a Hall of Famer. Rusev said Bob Lashley had poisoned her brain. He must be crushed. And he hopes and prays that they'll live happily ever after. So Lashley and Lana appear on the big screen. They're in a restaurant. And Lashley says Lana has needs. He will 100% take care of them, unlike Rusev.
So the key here is that they were at a restaurant, and it's a restaurant that she always wanted to go to, and he would never take her. And they're in Cleveland.
Yeah, sounds like there's more to this story than what they're telling us here. Like Lashley may not be totally innocent, or Rusev.
Yeah. So you mean like he's mean because he wouldn't take her to a restaurant?
I don't know. Why is he not taking her to this restaurant? She wanted to go to the restaurant. He never took her. I can
tell you why.
He was meddling in her modeling contracts.
Well, that could be true. That I don't know about. But they're living in Nashville, and she wants to go to a restaurant in Cleveland. It's like if I was living in Nashville and somebody said on Saturday night, let's go to a restaurant in Cleveland, I'd probably go, let's go to a restaurant in like
Dave, if
Nashville.
you were a wrestler and you and your wife went on the road together,
that wouldn't happen.
and you were at a show in Cleveland, and every time you were in Cleveland, she said you wanted to eat at a certain restaurant, you kept telling her no. When you were in Cleveland, huh?
Then I guess that's possible.
Yeah, something's going on in this relationship. We're only getting Rusev's side of the story.
We're not even getting any side of the story. We're just getting like we're just supposed to know that she's cheating on him. He's the innocent guy. But then he went and got arrested.
Yeah, my point is it's a very simplistic storyline, and there's a lot of holes that haven't been filled in yet.
Well, it's only been a couple of weeks. I don't think that these holes will probably get filled in, but it's still only a couple of weeks. You expect, like, on a Vince
of course
McMahon
not.
wrestling...
Are you kidding me? That's my point.
On a Vince McMahon wrestling show that we're going to get, like, this big detailed relationship thing, and there's going to be, like, some big reveal, you know, as far as, like, how they got together or whatever. And, you know, Bobby Lashley made fun of him because the only guy who was sane in this whole story, there's only one sane person, and that was the guy who owns the restaurant, because he could see that there was trouble coming. And Bobby Lashley didn't think that Rusev would show up because he didn't have guts. Rusev is insane. He starts a fight at a restaurant. Lana's just a bitch, you know. I mean, Jesus Christ. So I think that maybe Lawler should have interviewed the guy who owns the restaurant.
Maybe you will next week.
Yeah, because he's the only one that I felt sorry for when it was over.
So we have Andrade versus Sin Cara, and they have Zelina come out, and she got the what treatment. They did not consider her a Hall of Famer. And they show a El Paso Strong tweet from Sin Cara early this year, put him over as having one of the biggest hearts in WWE. I actually like this because finally someone's telling me something about this Sin Cara fella. That was a positive.
Yeah, I thought it was really cute that when Sin Cara was like being honored, that his son was dressed like him in a freaking Sin Cara mask.
Yes.
While they were honoring him for being one of the first responders, I guess, to was it the El Paso shooting?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So now they worked really hard, and they had a pretty good match, and it went through a commercial, and it was long.
They did work hard. You know what? It's weird. I mean, Sin Cara did. It was like what was different in this match, and really, I think this was a theme through the show. Is, you know how in WWE they kind of do this that I guess like the watered down style and kind of keep guys from doing the match that they would probably want to do on their own. And it's like Ricochet and McIntyre felt very close to the match that they would do if they were not in WWE. It wasn't exactly. I think that they would still have done, well, for sure they'd have done more. But they did a really good match. And in this case with Andrade and Sin Cara did so much more. You know, whether that's good or bad, I don't know. Because the weird thing is that, like, for another audience, because he did so much, I think he would have gotten him over. But this audience is so mentally geared towards the idea that Sin Cara is a job guy that it doesn't matter what he does. Like, that's my
whole point about this whole show that I thought about when I watched this match. Paul Heyman is climbing this mountain that, like, goes straight up, and you can never get to the top of it. Because obviously
that's a great analogy for the
first time ever.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
He's got to get these guys over, but this audience has been conditioned for decades.
Yep, for decades. The only thing that matters is star power, and doesn't matter what you do.
Yes, and he's got this match here on Andrade Sin Cara, and they go out there and they get time and they have a good match, but I'm just watching this going,
and it felt
this
too long,
is going to die. Well, it's Sin Cara out here that they have treated like a geek for years and years and years. He's running around after the 24/7 title or whatever stupid stuff he's doing.
He was doing that at one point.
And so when you do a match like this, like, all these WWE fans are going to think is, why am I watching this match, and why can't Andrade beat this guy in like 2 minutes? Like, why is this match going through a commercial break? Why? And it's like, you can't win.
I know, because they've trained you for star power and not for action. And I mean, I remember it's always like that, because when guys from here would do tryout matches, you know, this is back in the WCW WWF days. I remember, like, it was always like, if you did a tryout match at a WCW show, all you had to do was go out there and have a good match, and the people would like it. And if you did a tryout in the WWF show, you were just doomed. They're just like, they don't know who you are, and you can do anything and everything, and they just don't know who you are. And, you know, it was, and you remember in the Nitro days, you would have 2 prelim guys that would go out there, you know, like the luchadors that would just, the ones that were never pushed. And if they would go out there and just have enough time to have a great match, they'd have a great match, and the people would understand they did. You do the same thing when in WWF, where you had 2 guys who were not being pushed, who went out there and had a great match, and it was just like it wouldn't get a reaction. So yeah, this was it's, yeah. I mean, and really, I think that Rollins and Humberto Carrillo was a lot like that too. But they're not, I mean...
But at least Humberto Carrillo's like a brand new guy that 95% of the audience that doesn't watch 205 Live has never even seen before. This is Sin Cara, who has been a jobber forever, going 50-50 with Andrade for 12 minutes on TV.
He went more than 50-50. He pretty much took almost the whole match. Andrade gave him everything, dives, flips, all this stuff. And yeah, if this match was like on somewhere else, people would be saying it's a really good match. I did think like there's something about Sin Cara. I don't know if it was a little bit slow, but there was something when I was watching it where I didn't really think it was that good. But he was sure trying hard, but he wasn't getting any, But yeah, in the back of my mind, I'm just sitting there going like, no matter what he does, it's going to be to these people is once it got past probably the 5 to 6 minute mark, it was like, okay, let's move on. And it doesn't matter what he's doing. We've already seen enough of him. And that's a real unfortunate thing, but that is the reality of it. Yes.
Well, I liked the match, but it was asking a lot of this audience.
Yeah.
We had Charlie with Humberto backstage. He says, I have a lot of respect for Sin Cara. When you face Andrade, you got to face him and Zelina at the same time. Andrade's a future champion.
In this match, like the big thing was Sin Cara pretty much had the match won. He did a Pescado into a Hurricane Rana. Zelina distracted him, and he got his neck snapped on the top ropes. And then Zelina came off the apron. And, she does that Hurricane Rana off the apron. Well, she did a flip into the Hurricane Rana off the apron, and he sold it. And then he got thrown in the ring and Hammerlock DDT for the pin. So Zelina did that cool move right before the finish.
So Andrade, he says, is a future champion unless I beat him first. I will be the best champion, he says, not a kind of champion that plays with fire like Seth Rollins. What? I mean, it led to something, but what a ridiculous line.
Seth Rollins tried to burn down the Firefly Funhouse until
we'll get to that.
At this point, we still were under the impression that it was actually gone.
Well, he did burn it down. It's been rebuilt. He absolutely burnt it down.
Okay.
Street Profits promo.
So okay, but when it re-debuts next week on Friday, it's probably going to look the same.
Yes, it's a very simple set. This was not hard work, I don't think, to rebuild it, but still. So Truth is lurking around without Carmella because she's been drafted. He runs into, and I quote, one of the Bollywood boys, which was how he actually described himself. I'm one of the Bollywood boys. So it's Sunil Singh. He rolls up Truth. He pins him. None of the announcers have any idea which Bollywood boy pinned Truth. This got zero reaction from the crowd.
I don't think that, I don't think that anyone even, whatever with this, here's the other thing. Other than the idea of R-Truth pretending that he had double vision, which I did think was kind of cute, it really felt like this 24/7 thing has run its course.
Felt like that about week 3.
Yeah. Well, no, they had some funny stuff like with Kane, and they've actually had a lot of funny stuff with it, even though, they have. And then this one, I was okay with this because of the seeing doubles thing. I thought it was kind of cute, but it was also, when he won, it was kind of like, meh. I think they've gone about as far as they can with it. And you know what? I think him losing Carmella hurts the act. But, Carmella's with the SmackDown announcer. So, shit has to go the way it has to go. This is so funny because it's like, they're so, they don't want to be accused in social media of breaking up couples, except for the ones they want to break up. And there's none right now, evidently, that they want to break up. So, Carmella could not stay with R-Truth, even though that was the right thing for her, because in real life, they got Corey Graves on SmackDown, so she's got to be on SmackDown.
We have the Viking Raiders versus Hawkins and Ryder. Hawkins and Ryder cut this promo. They're so grateful for this opportunity. They're going to string together victories. People will stop calling them underdogs and start calling them winners. I wonder if we'll get pyro tonight, they say. They go out, they do not get pyro.
Okay, so I thought that this interview was everything that's wrong with WWE in like 90 seconds. Like, I could just watch this and go, this is it. This is the problem. I'm just watching this promo going like, this is so fake. I don't like these guys. They're telling me that they're not stars. They exude losers. I mean, that whole promo. It was so bad. It's horrible.
So they go out and they face the Viking Raiders and they get defeated.
Viking Raiders are great, by the way.
Yes.
I wish that they had, I don't know, like, so who can they do a program with? I mean,
dude, they could do a program with any of a dozen teams if the company took these
it's
teams
like Gallows
seriously.
and Anderson and Street Profits look like that they're married. So, I guess
AOP.
It's going to be AOP. It looks like, yeah, AOP. I guess. I mean, that's not the right. The thing with the Viking Raiders is that they work best with normal sized guys because they're so big. I mean, Rowe's not really that big, but Hansen's a pretty big dude, or heavy anyway. And he's so agile. With AOP, because they're both really big, strong guys, I don't know. Because like the gimmick of Hansen being so big and agile, those guys are probably they're taller than he is, I'm sure. And, the one dude's real big. Geza Salmani, Razor. So I think, it's Akam. I don't even know.
Razor's a taller one.
Okay, Razor is Geza, and then Akam is, the British Columbia wrestler. What's his name? Sonny Dinsa. So they're tough dudes. I mean, for real. So, I guess that's the thing that I guess that's where we're going. It's all right.
Anyway, the dude at the restaurant is there, and he tells Lana and Lashley Rusev might be on the way. And Lashley says Rusev doesn't have the balls to do anything, right, Lana? They got a commercial come back, and there he is, and they have a brawl. Police tear him apart. There's a lot of screaming. That was it. Wasn't even like a good brawl.
Well, it's in a restaurant. They're not going to let it go for too long. The police were there. They were ready.
So Ray comes out.
Rusev this was like a really fancy restaurant, and Rusev was absolutely not dressed. Look at how everyone was dressed, and then Rusev comes in like that. It's like, I'll bet you when they saw that guy come and they already had the police called, he'd come like all dressed up. I bet he could have gotten more shots in.
Ray comes out. The first part of this was great. He says, I've been training Kane to beat Brock Lesnar for the title at Crown Jewel. I took time out of training to come here and thank everybody. Thank you from me, my son, the entire family, this outpouring of love. I got so much to be thankful for. I'm humbled. We're going to all celebrate together at Crown Jewel when Kane wins the title and puts another scar on the face of Brock Lesnar.
So the deal here is like, now Ray, for whatever this was supposed to be, Ray knows how to do a babyface promo. Like, this is like a guy that not Rusev, not freaking Hawkins and Ryder. Like, this was a guy when he's doing this promo where it's like, I like this guy. He's cool. Aside from the fact he's a great wrestler and he's a cool guy in real life. But even if I didn't know any of this, I would say, this is a guy I want to cheer. Some people probably wouldn't because he's little and they probably don't like little guys. But, it's like I'm watching all these baby faces cut promos, on these shows. And it's like, I'm supposed to like them, but I'm not liking them. And these promos aren't working. Ray is like the opposite. I liked Ray. I want to see Kane kick Brock's ass. I mean, this whole thing just was working.
So Heyman shows up.
Yeah.
It says Ray would never say this if Brock was live in the building. It says Ray's like everybody else, thinks someone can beat Brock. He's enlisted Dominic's godfather. And Kane is not winning because Brock has seen this scar for 9 years and he's going to get his revenge.
Yeah, every day he looks in the mirror, sees that scar, and he's been waiting. So now here's the bad thing. If, in fact, because this has not been said, but if, in fact, Brock is banned from being on Raw because he's a SmackDown guy, on Friday, Kane and Brock are doing a face-to-face. Now, Heyman made it very clear that he can go on SmackDown because he's not on either brand, okay? So we know he's going to be there. But that would imply that Ray can't go to SmackDown. And Kane without Ray...
We don't know that.
No, they said that he can't go on the other brand. Ray's a Raw guy.
All right, well.
I mean, I don't know. He may be. I actually have asked, but no one will give me an answer.
That probably means he's going to be there on Friday.
But they made a point that Brock can't be here.
Has Ray been drafted? I guess he has been drafted.
Yes, Ray's on the Raw roster.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see.
So, if that's the case, and Ray's not allowed to be there, Kane without Ray, that's a... Hopefully they got a good idea, because that...
Maybe Dominic will be there to talk for him.
Dominic, I guess, could be, but I don't know that I trust Dominic with that promo. And I don't know that I trust Kane with that promo either.
Well, anyway, out comes Shelton Benjamin, and he gets in Ray's face and says, I know Brock, I trained him, I roomed with him, he's family. He says, I got his theory that if I shove you around and bully you, I'll get a championship match. He starts to bully him around, and out comes Kane. And
so it was actually cute, because he shoves him, and then he shoves him again. He goes, now I get an Intercontinental match. And he shoves him again, now I get a U.S. title match. And then he goes, shoves him again, and he wanted a Universal title match. So it's kind of cute, actually, in that way.
Kane comes out. Shelton tries to take him down. Kane slams him, ground and pound, takes his back. Shelton bails. Crowd absolutely in a morgue for this action here. And there were even some light boos afterwards. And I hope they got a plan for this Brock match.
It wasn't convincing. Yeah. The thing is like, you know, he's been down there at the Performance Center. I don't know, maybe he's better at the Performance Center. I don't know, because I would think that, like, at the Performance Center, you one of the things you would drum in is, okay, we're going to do this thing with Shelton Benjamin, and this is what you're going to do. And they would drill it until he did it well. And he's a quick learner. And if he couldn't do it well, you would say, well, don't do it. But for whatever reason, I mean, this is the plan that they had, and he did it, and it didn't look good.
We have Charlie with Seth Rollins. You can hear boos. Charlie says, it seems the Fiend has gone inside your head. And he says, maybe he has, but I burned down the funhouse. The Fiend is different. There's an aura about him I just can't explain. When you step into the ring with the Fiend, you're changed forever.
He thought that he might be in the Fiend's head, too. He made that point.
Seth looks off screen, perhaps acknowledging the loud CM Punk chants in the building for his promo. And there's Humberto Carrillo, and he confronts him. And Seth says, listen, I had to burn down the funhouse. Being champion is about making decisions that are right. Like, you burned his house down. That's arson. That's the right decision to make as a champion?
May have been.
Seth challenges him to a match right now.
May have been. The Fiend is like a dangerous dude. Maybe burning his house down was the right thing to do. I don't know.
No, Dave. Arson is never the right thing to do.
The guy's been like...
You can't burn his house down.
He already fixed it. He's got a good insurance company.
Dave.
I guess you're right, though.
You can't burn his house down because he has a good insurance company. This is not right. In fact, they go to Seth versus Humberto Carrillo, and Deal Madden actually explains that Humberto made a big mistake by calling Seth an arsonist, even though he did burn the guy's house down, and suggests that you can't call him an arsonist because he wasn't arrested. Even though he burned his house down on national television before 2.5 million viewers.
I would think that Dio Madden came off pretty stupid in that spot, yes.
By the way, they also had footage of a WWE float in Saudi Arabia.
See that parade?
I have seen it all.
The Riyadh parade for the first day of Riyadh season. So they're bringing in all these freaking acts, including, what is it, that Ruiz and Joshua fight, which is like the big one. And, they wanted like all these big acts. A lot of people didn't come, but WWE came, and they had a big parade, and they had a Roman Reigns Undertaker float, and Undertaker went there. So I guess that's the deal. Undertaker's not on the card, but Undertaker went to Saudi Arabia anyway. So there you go.
So we have this Seth versus Humberto Carrillo match. The fans are chanting, "We want Wyatt." They have a pretty good match, and Seth gives him a lot, and Humberto kicks out of all sorts of things and hits his big moonsault. Seth kicks out, goes for another one. Seth gets the feet up, super kick, hits a stomp, and gets the pin, and then gets in the ring afterwards, shakes Carrillo's hand. Everybody boos. Seth is so unlikable now. It's incredible what they've done to this guy.
Yeah. Yep.
And right. What he's done to himself, I might add.
It's funny because that interview that I did with Becky Lynch, we were talking about, and I did do this on purpose, like her philosophy and mastery of social media, because, man, her boyfriend is like not good at it.
No, terrible.
And she's generally really good at it. So I don't know if it's just, I don't know what it is, but yeah, whatever. Now, the deal that he did yesterday, and I guess it hasn't really gotten too much, but that thing where some fan asked him about Omega, and he goes, well, if he got out of the minor leagues and all this, it's like, that's...
That's the same thing Omega said about him.
Yeah, when it comes to that stuff, that's he just said it. I mean, I think people are overreacting.
That was far from the dumbest thing that Seth has said on social media in the last 2 months. It's the bottom of the list, actually.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. Far from it, yeah.
Truth tries to pin Sunil, but he rolls up Samir instead, and the ref won't count, so the Bollywood
I actually like that idea.
That was good. Him versus two men is actually could be some good comedy.
I like the comp. Yeah, but it'll get old. But I did like the idea that he pinned the wrong guy and didn't know it. And then when he was told, he said, there are two of them, because this whole time he thought he was seeing double.
So we have the Street Profits versus the OC, and Street Profits come out alone. OC makes fun of them for not having anybody, or perhaps for choosing an invisible backup. And match starts, and nobody comes out to be in their corner. And Jerry Lawler, without understanding what he's saying, basically says that these Street Profits are geeks because they can't find any friends to come out and watch their backs. I was like, dude, that's every babyface on this show. Every single one of them. So they beat on Dawkins forever. Montez gets a tag. They beat on him forever. He makes a big tag, and they're doing the big comeback, and AJ ends up going after Montez outside, so the ref says he's ejected. AJ doesn't leave. He gets up on the apron. Who should make the save but Kevin Owens? He was their backup. He just was in catering the whole time, I guess. He finally runs down, attacks AJ, gives him a stunner outside. Montez hits the big dive, big frog splash on Anderson, gets the pin. Hey, they did everything they could to get these Street Profits over.
They've been trying to make them stars. I mean, that guy's got, Montez Ford has super charisma, so it makes sense to go with them. And they can talk. I can see why you would try to go with them for sure.
That was a show. They definitely tried to make new stars, but what a battle this is! What a battle!
Look, for everyone, you can't snap your fingers and make new stars. It's going to be time consuming, and it's going to, it's like in a sports team, like a college program, in sports, or a pro program. Sometimes you have what you call is like rebuilding years. And, Raw is, and they take a long time. Raw's a rebuilding year. AEW and NXT, when it comes to the new audience, it's rebuilding. It's actually getting off the ground. It's like getting a new program off the ground. It's just not going to hit immediately. I mean, I can really see that, you got to establish these guys as television stars, and it's tough. I mean, even if you book it right, it's tough. If you book it wrong, it's impossible. But even if you book it right, it's tough. It's a very watered down business. There's too much out there for the good of the business. I mean, in some ways it's cool because you have a lot of alternatives, but people are pretty worn out. I'm not, Fox is promoting this stuff really hard. And yeah, I don't know about this boom period. I mean, it's way too early to make any,
Not really.
Well, it's not.
The SmackDown of Fox is not leading to a boom period. I'll make you a $500 bet.
Oh no, I agree with you completely. I'm not seeing it. But that makes it bad, because if it's not a boom period, all of this television is going to lead to, and this is what I've been thinking.
Oh, wait. we could get a boom period. I mean, if for example,
if somebody gets super over,
but it's not going to be because SmackDown went on Fox. Like, there's zero chance that them being on Fox is leading to a boom period. None.
All alone, with no other reason, yes, there is zero chance that just the fact that they're on Fox is going to lead to a boom period. And I think we've already seen with the audience, the fact is the audience is not that much larger. And part of that's Friday night. Friday night makes it tough.
Well, that's after 3 weeks. I mean,
it's probably going to get lower, don't you think?
Are you kidding me? At the 6-week mark, the 8-week mark, if they keep running shows like they ran on Friday, I mean, they'll be where they were.
Oh, yeah, they probably will. Well, look, next week they'll be below where they were, unless Hogan and Flair have one more, boost left in them. Yeah, I don't know. We had too much. It'd be the third Flair and it'd be the third Hogan in a short period of time. I don't see it. I don't see them being the difference makers this time. But that's the only chance they got. There's nothing else on that show that's going to get them over 1.8 million viewers, even over 1.7 million. If they're over 1.7 million, it's Hogan and Flair. Because I don't see between FS1 and Friday Night, even with Lesnar, I don't see, again, because that's not more audience, not more homes and stuff than, because the one key is that, there's Fox and so many more homes. So now we're going to actually less homes than USA. Not a lot less, but I think it's like 6 million less homes. So that's 5%. No, it's 7% down. Yeah, 6.6%. So it's 6.6% down from what they would normally do. And you tack on Friday night. I think 1.7 million. But it doesn't matter what the number is, because this, like I've been saying to people that are going, like, the number's going to be really bad. And it's like, it doesn't count anyway. When they come back the next week after that one people will overreact to, but you got to throw that one out. November 8th is the next number that counts. And, it's, you know what, something scary? That the SmackDown show on Friday had audience-wise was 5% down from the same show a year ago on USA.
Wow.
Not to mention that it was 40% down from what Fox did on that same Friday a year ago. Because Fox averaged 4 million viewers, and this show was a little over 2.4 million viewers.
But in this Raw show,
it was a show. I didn't find anything particularly inspiring to it. I think it was all, it's kind of like dependent upon how you view that one segment, because that's what the whole show built for. Drew McIntyre and Ricochet had another good match. And the finish was an interesting finish, because it's Randy Orton in St. Louis, who's going to get the biggest pop in St. Louis no matter what.
I was so baffled watching that match. I don't even know what I'm watching anymore. I'm just flabbergasted.
In what sense?
They do this match, and it's a rematch from last week. And
it's a good match. It's a good match until the finish.
Going into it, that there's no winning here, because either Drew is going to beat Ricochet a second time, or Ricochet is going to beat Drew and they just do the 50-50 thing, or you're going to do a screw job finish. So they chose the screw job finish. So in this match, Drew McIntyre beats up Ricochet through 2 commercial breaks. He just beat on him and beat on him and beat on him and beat on him forever. And finally, Ricochet starts making this comeback, and he goes up top and he goes for his 450. McIntyre moves out of the way. Ricochet lands, and Randy Orton flies in out of nowhere, hits him with an RKO for the DQ. And the place goes absolutely crazy for Randy Orton. They're cheering Randy Orton. They're cheering Drew McIntyre. And I just watched this thing, and what are you trying to do with Ricochet? I don't even want you to tell me they're trying to get the guy over. I mean, I can't even listen to this anymore. Well, you could not have made this guy look like a bigger geek.
Well, it was, I mean, the fact that they did that finish in St. Louis, it completely undermined the idea
After he got beat up for 90% of the match.
But he made a big comeback. I mean, he was making the comeback, and he was the one on the verge of winning when the interference happened.
Well, you could argue that, but he wasn't on the verge of winning because he went for the 450 and Drew moved out of the way. It wasn't even like he was about to hit his move.
That's true.
The guy moved out of the way.
Yeah, but he was making his comeback when the interference came. It wasn't like Drew was on top and it was just another guy jumping in. But yeah, I mean, it didn't accomplish. It was a holding pattern. For Thursday, whatever they're going to do Thursday, and I have no idea what they're going to do Thursday. But it was just a way to essentially fill time with good wrestling because the match did very good in the quarter hours, and you had Hogan and Flair there. It was a way to use Hogan and Flair because a couple weeks ago they drew a big number. And of course, as we've said, there's a law of diminishing returns on Hogan and Flair. But you also have to remember that when they put the show together, they did not know about the Friday rating. So, they didn't know that, again, Hogan and Flair, the first time they were on Raw, they carried Raw the whole show and they did over 3 million viewers, which no segment has done in a long, long time. And then the second time, when you didn't have Hogan, you did have Flair, which was last week. Those were the 3 highest rated segments in the show were the Flair stuff and then the Ricochet and McIntyre match with Flair there. So, you try to maximize what worked before. And that's what that was all about. And, they didn't want to beat Ricochet again. And obviously they don't want to beat McIntyre right now. Maybe they'll beat him in, maybe that's going to be the finish of the pay-per-view. Maybe they're trying to protect McIntyre for something bigger. Whatever it is, it's a finish. But yeah, if it was, I'm trying to think who else they could have thrown in there. I guess there was nobody else because of the fact they're handcuffed.
Well, that's the problem with this brand split. There could have been 3 other guys on the other team, but they're not allowed to be on Raw now. Yeah, and Rusev's in the main event, so Ricochet's the only guy left.
You mean Drew? Because the interference. You mean Randy Orton? Because
I'm talking for Drew to wrestle somebody else instead of Ricochet.
Yeah, but they were going to do that. The reason Drew's wrestling Ricochet again is because it was successful. That's why they had a good match and they did good ratings. So that's why they wrestled again. That makes sense. They just didn't have a finish. Well, they had a finish, but the finish was Randy Orton and St. Louis interfering. Now that made no sense. If it had been Baron Corbin doing the run-in at the end, they would have booed Baron Corbin and they would have booed Drew McIntyre and it would have worked. But they're not allowed to use Baron Corbin in that spot because of the brand split. I'll tell you what, though. If they do less than 2 million viewers on Friday, don't you think the brand split's going to end like the next week?
It'll be... Well, it's already going to end the next week because we got to build to Survivor Series, which is going to be brand versus brand. So, every single year they have people on each show. So, that would be my guess.
Yeah, well, that was nice. That lasted a long time, 11 days.
Well, we'll see. Paige opened up the show. She came out, introduced the Kabuki Warriors. She goes to put him over on the mic, but first Asuka grabs the mic, and then Kairi grabs the mic, and Paige tries to grab it back. It falls down. She goes to pick it up. Asuka blows the mist in her face. So...
They're heels. They were heels.
They wrote her out of the storyline that she wasn't even in, I guess.
Yep.
And presumably she will manage another team.
Oh, that's right. They could do that. Who would that be?
I don't know, but do they really need to write her out since she hasn't been on TV in months with the Kabuki Warriors? I figured they did this.
It may have just been a way to try to get them more heel heat because everyone's cheering them at the house shows. And they turned. Even in Australia, they cheered them against the Iconics, who were the local women. But they've been cheered. The Kabuki Warriors have been cheered at every house show. So, they needed to do something because they are supposed to be heels, even though there's probably few people in the entire company better suited to be a babyface than Kairi Sane. So that's that.
So then we had Becky versus Kairi and opened up with some loud Becky chants. And this also went through 2 commercial breaks. And Kairi hit a DDT out of a suplex, bunch of near falls back and forth. She lays out Asuka outside, runs into a back fist for a near fall.
That was a great back fist.
Yep. She eats this back fist and then she just puts her in the disarmor and submits her. That was the finish.
Well, that was weird because she didn't really tap. She kind of struggled and they just called it a tap. So the crowd got up for the finish, but for the first Raw match, especially with Becky Lynch involved, the lack of crowd heat really was, and that was kind of it was. I was kind of stunned. It was just like they were out there wrestling, and it was like, it was like a dead arena until But they had a very good match. I mean, there was definitely some sloppiness, and there was some miscommunication because there were 2 or 3 spots where they both kind of just stood there, and trying to figure out like, what do we do next? But, by the end, and Becky's a star and Kyrie's a great worker. So by the end, I think that they had the match going on.
I think the easiest way to explain this is there were 3 different segments because there were 2 commercial breaks. The last segment was very good. The first 2, actually the first one, like the bell rang, they did a spot, they went to commercial. The second segment was just really weird. And then the third segment was actually pretty good. So if you want to watch one segment of this match, everybody, that's the one to watch.
Yep.
Charlie is...
Kairi Sane was bleeding under her left eye. I have no idea where that came from. So
and Becky was bleeding from her elbow.
Yeah.
So Charlie is in the ring to interview Truth about his upcoming match with Buddy Murphy. Like, what?
Well,
Truth says he's not my buddy.
I mean, it's just to get him to do his comedy.
Charlie says, what about losing to the Singh brothers last week? He said, I need another set of eyes. I got glasses. All the announcers do the fake laughing. They couldn't have done this backstage. This had to be in the ring. Anyway, do the match.
They thought it was funny. Maybe they thought the audience would laugh.
They did this match here, and it's like 2 minutes maybe. And in the middle of it, the 24/7 geeks run down. Truth joins them. They run 3 laps around the ring. Truth gets into the ring, and Buddy Murphy pins him. So, if the idea is for Buddy Murphy to get over, this is like at the bottom of the list of ways to do it.
Yeah, he hit him with a Kamigoe. Yeah, they could have done it. I mean, the thing with Buddy Murphy is that if the best way to get Buddy Murphy over, and the way to get Buddy Murphy over, is to showcase him in good matches, because that's how he's going to get over. And this wasn't that. This was, a quick win, which would have been fine. I mean, the quick win would have been okay too, but because of all the distraction and everything like that, it really was not much of a dynamic win, and I don't think it really...
it did nothing for Buddy Murphy.
Yeah, I don't think it did anything for Buddy Murphy.
If anything, it made him look like a geek because he's out there with all these other geeks running around the ring. And turned the whole match into a comedy segment.
I will agree that it took everything off of the match, but I think that it didn't turn him into a geek because he's the only one that wasn't running around the ring. He was just standing there looking at all these idiots, and he was not the idiot. He was the one smart guy. While these other guys like frickin' Mojo Rawley and No Way Jose are just like frickin', they're just rats running in a maze going nowhere, on the treadmill. That's what they are. 4 guys.
Had an AOP promo. They want every team to find them disconcerting. If you don't know, we're going to come at you. If you don't know how we're going to come at you, how can you possibly survive a match with us? That's their line.
So are they going to be like feuding with the Street Profits?
All I know is they're going to come at everybody the exact same way everybody else does in WWE, so...
Oh, maybe actually, probably the Viking Raiders.
Should be the Viking Raiders.
Should be the Viking Raiders, the 2 big teams, yeah. That's fine. I mean, the Viking Raiders need an opponent, so yeah, that's a big one for the AOP. I mean, they're going to... The Viking Raiders are a really strong team, so I think that should be okay.
Street Profits did their entrance, which is a great entrance, and they got in the ring, hugged. Fans tried to chant in unison, but they were all confused, so half chanted Street Profits, half chanted We Want the Smoke. They finally got on the same page. They did a very quick promo.
That was a very weak chant, and they were really doing everything they could over and over and over to try to get the people to do that chant, and it was really, like, a lot of times what I've noticed, especially, and I really noticed when I was there in Vegas, is that there's a crowd that's right in front, like the first 2 or 3 rows, and the people in the first 2 or 3 rows who paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars for tickets, these are diehard fans, and they're like the AEW fans who want so much to make the show work, that they're gonna, just do whatever they can. The difference is at the AEW show is that you've got everyone trying to make the show work, or not everyone, but a larger percentage. You got much of the arena wanting to make the show work, whereas with WWE, you pretty much had, a small group at ringside, and the rest of the people are just kind of sitting there going, entertain us, and we're not entertained. Please entertain us, and then they're getting nothing entertaining, so they just kind of sit there. So the Street Profits, those people who are really, at ringside. But I was watching when, you could tell it's that, when you got thousands of people and it sounds like 30 chanting, it's almost, I always think that it's almost worse than no chant at all, because it's kind of just saying that, like, you've got this chant and no one's picking up on it. And it makes the chant look so uncool because no one's picking up on it. But they want everyone to chant, "We want the smoke." They tried so hard.
I think they're going to get it over.
I think that in time they will, but it was kind of, it didn't look good on this show.
Then we had the Ricochet Drew match. We talked about that. It was a very good match. If you like seeing Ricochet beaten up for, how long was this match?
17 minutes.
All right. If you like to see Ricochet beat up for 16 straight minutes, this was the match for
him. He opened up and he did Tope con Hero, and then he did
He did two dives, and then he was killed.
Then he was selling his ribs
for 16 minutes,
which were taped up. Why is Jimmy Hart at ringside?
He's everywhere Hogan goes.
But why? How come they don't explain it? It's like, there's Jimmy Hart's at ringside, and he's just at ringside and he's cheering because Jimmy Hart's so hyper, But what's he? It's like it makes because Hogan's there, Jimmy Hart has to be there. Like Jimmy Hart, Jimmy Hart travels everywhere with Hogan. I get that, but it's like, is there something with Hogan where he can't even walk to the ring without Jimmy Hart being there? Like Jimmy Hart has to be within 5 feet of Hogan because that's in Hogan's contract.
Maybe
Jimmy Hart must be by.
Maybe it's his bodyguard at this point.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart is bodyguard. That's a good one. Jimmy Hart's oh God, Jimmy Hart's 75 years old. I'm not even exaggerating. He's 75 years old.
It's true.
Man. Oh well.
We had AJ meeting
Still got good hair though.
He looks great for his age.
He looks exactly the same. I give him credit. He looks exactly the same.
So we had,
and he probably could talk exactly the same, but
I'm positive he could.
Okay, so you have a show where you don't have a lot of good promo guys, and there's this guy who's there, who's like one of the all-time great promo guys, and he's just standing there for no reason, no explanation, doing nothing, and not doing any promos.
Yes, that is exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
AJ meets with Humberto Carrillo. They were impressed with him last week. AJ challenges him to face the real champ tonight. We had Rizzo and Bryant, the Chicago Cubs, jobber team. Viking Raiders killed him, tore one of the shirts off, got a big pop. That was that. Charlie's backstage with Sin Cara.
You mean there was a great breast cancer piece?
Yes.
With Holly. I don't even know her last name. Did they say her last name?
They usually don't say the last names. They might have on this one, but I didn't get it.
I don't remember. But this was really a good piece. She works at WWE. She's a breast cancer survivor. And this was also on SmackDown on Friday. But it was a hell of a piece. That just talking about all the stuff she went through. She was very emotional. She had, her breasts removed. She went through chemo. She lost her hair. Her hair's come back, but she's still alive. She won her fight. It was really well done. Really well done piece.
Charlie's with Sin Cara backstage. What are your plans to counteract Zelina's presence at the ringside? He says, 2 can play at this game. This is Catalina.
And then it says Carol, and the graphic says Carolina.
Yeah, she starts going to the ring. It says Carolina. So they start doing this match.
And the announcers were still calling her Catalina, which in fact, her actual real first name is Catalina. So I have no idea where Carolina comes from, but it's probably just like one of those things that got lost in translation.
Well, all I know is last week these two had a match, and Sin Cara took a lot of the match. This week, Sin Cara does a spot, and then Andrade just beats him and beats him and beats him and beats him and beats him. And finally, Zelina jumps up on the apron as he tries to make a comeback. And either Carolina or Catalina, because Dio said Carolina and Vic said Catalina,
it's Catalina.
She yanks Zelina off the apron, throws her into the barricade. And the moment she does this, Andrade rolls up Sin Cara and pins it with his feet on the ropes.
No, okay, so it was actually Zelina doing the
she tried the diving Hurricane Rana, but got helicoptered.
The Hurricane Rana, and she got it blocked. And then while all this is going on and everyone's distracted, then Andrade gets the pin using the ropes. Yeah.
So. The guy whose manager got killed. The other guy was distracted.
And the other thing is that she's supposed to be his insurance policy,
and she failed.
Exactly.
I was baffled watching this. Like, I didn't really expect Sin Cara to beat Andrade, but dude, what a way to introduce somebody. Here's my failed insurance policy on week 1.
Yeah. Well, I just figured that with the buildup that they gave her, which was none whatsoever, she just shows up in a mask. This woman shows up in a mask with no explanation of who she is or anything like that. I just figured it was just I don't even know if she's like going to be.
This had to be a one-off.
Like, yeah, she may not even be back next week. So it was just, but maybe she will. Maybe they'll do a mixed tag. I could see that too.
We had Charlotte and Natalya versus the Iconics. I guess Charlotte and Natty are friends. I mean, whatever. They beat up Peyton. Iconics cut off Natty. She never made a hot tag. Natty just put her in the sharpshooter. Charlotte stopped Peyton from breaking it up. Billy submitted. To say this was below average would be giving it too much praise.
I actually thought that the Iconics were better than usual. They actually looked like they belonged in the ring.
Did you watch the finishing sequence?
Well, the finishing sequence was, but it still was a professional wrestling match. I mean, sometimes I've seen them, and it's like, how are they on the main roster? I didn't think that watching this. I just thought it was, it was just a one-sided kind of match where Charlotte and Natalya went over clean, and it was what it was. It was nothing. Nobody believed that finish was the finish because it was very undramatic going, she just puts her in the sharpshooter, but not in like a building way like she usually does. I don't know why. But yeah, that's what it was.
Seth Rollins promo, he's booed.
They also did their finish, and nobody knew their finish either because they did, so.
The Iconics have a finish?
Yeah, the thing where they run one person into the knee of the other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Learn something every day.
They were champions, even though they never won a match while the champions.
I was going to say, they never won a match. How am I supposed to know where their finisher is?
Well, before they won the championship, when they would do the tag matches on SmackDown, they would win sometimes, and that was their finish.
Seth Rollins promo, tries to name drop the town, kind of gets a pop. Talks about the Falls Count Anywhere match. He actually says, I burned down the Firefly Funhouse. Everybody boos. He says, it has been rebuilt. Quote, that makes the Fiend more dangerous than ever. Because he's a carpenter?
Well, he said that he knew it would be rebuilt. So if he knew it would be rebuilt, why'd he burn it down in the first place? That was a waste of good fire.
Just to be a jerk.
I guess.
Even though he's a top babyface. He says the only way to end the Fiend is to beat the Fiend.
Yeah, okay. I think he's gonna win because the Fiend's on SmackDown. I think the Fiend's gonna isn't the Fiend gonna kill the Miz maybe?
I guess. Who knows? Rowan and Rollins Falls Count Anywhere. They had a pretty good brawl all over the place. There was a fight by the merch stand. Rowan gave him a Uranage through the table. They're brawling in the concourse, like a mile away from the ring. They go to commercial. They come back. They're in the ring. They must have sprinted down those stairs during that commercial break. So they fight in the ring, and then they fight back up the ramp again.
4-minute commercial. You can get from the concourse to the ring in 4 minutes.
Well, sure you can, but they're supposed to be brawling the whole time, and one dude was laid out in rubble.
Well, they had 4 minutes. They got there.
So,
yeah, it's really interesting that they did the concourse brawl, right after AEW did the concourse brawl. In that sense, I thought, when you do that, it comes across like, You know, I don't know. I'm watching it going like, this is a very weak copy. That's kind of my feeling. It was less intense. It was much slower. It wasn't bad. I mean, it just was, in comparison to what I just saw on Wednesday, it was, all I could think of is, I just saw this. I just saw a better version of this. So I don't know. I don't know if you're going to copy, I think you need to go out of your way to make it better. And they didn't.
So Seth hits the curb stomp on a table, and it's not the finish because his finishing move sucks. Everyone kicks out of it.
Well, it's because he was selling so much. By the time he went for the pin, it
wasn't that long, and it was a curb stomp on a table. Should have been a finish.
Well, it was long. It was long enough. It was long enough that I knew he wasn't getting the pin.
They brawl backstage, and there's a ladder there, and Rollins gives him a curb stomp on the ladder, but he doesn't try to pin him. Instead, he asks a forklift operator to lower the pallet onto Rowan so he can't move. That's the finish.
Yeah, buried him with a forklift.
Rowan's not even unconscious. He's like trying to get out, but there's a pallet on him.
Yeah,
they should have announced the forklift operator as the winner.
Whatever. But Rowan's head was busted open on somewhere, somehow in this one too.
Well, that's the final build, everybody, to the match with The Fiend, where the match cannot be stopped for any reason.
I hate that because you know what? What if, the odds, of course, are...
What if someone really gets hurt? Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, the odds are very, very small, but I hate that billing because, what if something really bad happens? Then, I guess they'll just stop it, but, oh, God. But I think, actually, if something really bad happens and they stop it, I do think that people will totally understand.
Fans will understand.
If something, but, so, yeah, whatever. It's like, after that last match, I just could not even fathom being excited about seeing a rematch. That last match was so ungodly bad. And the other thing is, well, because they're in Saudi Arabia, maybe they won't bring that red tint thing there. But, they were doing that.
They've been using it on the road.
They used it tonight because they did a cage match tonight after the show went off the air. And it's like, the thing doesn't work. So why do you do it? It's like someone's got an idea. The idea fails. And it's like, but it's our idea. So we just keep doing it. That's like that Aleister Black interview again. It's like they need to listen to that Aleister Black interview, because someone there scripted it and it's probably Heyman. So he should have said, like, everyone here needs to listen to this Aleister Black interview. And maybe we need to advertise house shows differently. And maybe we need to get our talent over in a different way. Maybe we need to do lots of different stuff, because if we keep doing the same stuff, it's probably going to continue to get the same reaction. So, the one thing they got going for them is they got that financial cushion. If this was any other era, I wonder if Vince would have if it was another era, Vince would have responded and made changes. And the changes might not have worked, but he would have made changes because he would have had to, because he doesn't have to. He doesn't.
Dave, he's making changes all the time. Wild cards, brand splits.
But those are the wrong kind of changes.
I know, but the point is, I don't even know if he knows what the right changes are.
Well, no, obviously he doesn't, because if he did, he would make the right changes. No, but it's like, okay, so they do those superficial things. The show still feels exactly the same. SmackDown is the exact same SmackDown show that it's been before. It was supposed to be new and improved, and it's the exact same show with lesser talent because of the split. You have a lower depth of talent, which the last time, whatever it was. You got to remember, before they did that wild card thing, their ratings were dropping, and now we're going right back to what killed the ratings a couple months ago. We're going to do it again. The Aleister Black interview.
Well, the Aleister Black interview was next, and then we had Crown Jewel hype, and then Humberto Carrillo and AJ Styles. They had a very good match. AJ sold and sold and sold and sold for this guy. Humberto looked really good. Made a big really comeback talented at the end, and then he just gets bumped out of midair, put in the calf crusher, and submitted.
Too easy.
So he gets beaten, and then AJ offers a handshake. Humberto's going to give it to him. Can anybody guess what happened here? Well, if you guessed, AJ pulled his hand away, they got in a brawl, and AJ laid him out with the Styles Clash after he beat him. You're correct. That is exactly what happened.
Yep.
Street Profits ran down to make
That's the new way to get over. That's the new way to get over babyface. It's like they did it with Cedric. They did it with Ricochet. It's like
Chad Gable.
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. You know what? Humberto Carrillo needs to beat somebody next week.
Well, I think he probably will.
He has to.
I think he probably will.
Because this crowd, I realize that he faced big names. He faced Seth and he faced AJ.
Yeah, but
he lost to both of them.
But this match, even though this match was really good, the fact is the crowd was not with the match.
No, he needs to win. He needs to beat somebody.
Absolutely.
Preferably
100%.
like somebody who's a name. Like maybe even Carl Anderson or somebody.
Carl Anderson's the guy. That's the guy who should beat. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, it makes sense in the storyline.
So Lawler comes out for divorce court.
Well, they also they were all beating him down, and the Street Profits made the save.
Yes.
So we're probably actually going to have the Street Profits and Humberto Carrillo against the OC next week.
Well, he better pin Carl Anderson in that match then.
Yes, or AJ. Yes.
Lawler out for divorce court, calls out Rusev. He comes out in a jacket. He's smiling. He's slapping hands. He's all excited to go to divorce court.
I thought it's like, what is he doing being a smiling babyface? Isn't he supposed to be depressed?
Well, you'd think so. So Lana comes out in this gown.
Plus, here's the thing. Plus, he was in jail last week. So not only is his wife cheating on him with Bobby Lashley, okay, and not only she's not just cheating on him, okay, it's like she's cheating on him, rubbing his face in it, humiliating him publicly, and he went to jail in the last week, and he's on television and he's happy about it all. It's like, what is, it's like, show some, like, if you don't care, why do we care? If that makes you really happy, then why should I care? I mean, like, geez. So anyway, yeah.
Lana comes out in this gown. Rusev, I swear to God, he's standing in the ring smiling at her beauty. Oh, look at how beautiful.
He's smiling and
he's
staring. He's staring. Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea is that he's this is supposed to be the really edgy thing. But it's like, yeah, she comes out looking like that. She's rubbing his face in it even more. So
Lawler says, Rusev, you're still wearing your wedding band, hoping you two can reconcile. Fans boo the idea of a reconciliation.
Well, sure, because they can like watch it from the outside with some perspective. It's like, you're a freaking geek. She's cheating on you. Move on.
Lana says, every day I have to deal with the universe hating on me, saying mean things about me, bullying me. I'm going to tell everybody the truth. Rusev only wanted me for sex. He smiles and says, hey, can you blame me? She says
that was supposed to make him. So that was supposed to make him like really cool, and the cool baby face, because he just has sex morning, noon, and night with Lana. Which, in a sense, if she hadn't humiliated him and rubbed his face in it, and then tried to rub his face in it through this, probably would actually have gotten him over. But.
So he's all happy, and she says, you wanted sex in the morning, afternoon, evening, doctor's office, WrestleMania, backstage. You are a sex addict. Now Rusev is not smiling. I can't believe you would say these things, he says. It's like, what about everything she did? Like, everything she did didn't bother you, but her calling you a sex addict has just ruined your life now? So now he's depressed. And she says, it wasn't about you loving me. You wanted a baby inside me. All you wanted was a little Mashka brat running around and crushing. And he says, I did want to grow our family, but you didn't need to have a baby. Didn't need to rush it. She says, I'm a model. I'm an influencer. I make my money by being ravishing, not by being Mama Rusev. Lawler says, is that true, Lana? And after all this, Lana goes, actually, that's not true. Rusev cheated on me. Lashley told me. Rusev says, what? You believed him? Lana says, yes. And Rusev says, well, he's talking shit.
So now it's like, it's.
So Lashley comes out, and I'll give you three guesses about what happened, everybody. They get in a fair fight. Lashley beats his ass.
Well, only because she distracted and he kicked him low.
Well,
twice.
originally they got in a fight, and then Lashley just laid him out with his falling DDT thing. And then
He made a
Rusev
comeback,
makes
but Rusev made a comeback from there.
He made a comeback, goes to shove the ring down Lashley's throat. Lana tries to hit him with a kendo stick. I don't know where in the world Lana got a kendo stick. And then Rusev looks at her. Lashley gives Rusev a low blow. Lana slaps him. Lashley punts him in the balls again. And then they stand over Rusev and they furiously make out as the show goes off the air.
Furiously. Man, I don't know. I don't know about this furiously making out thing with my wife. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's kind of like limits. Like, geez, you know, it's like I don't know about that one.
Well, that's how the show ended, everybody.
But it's like I know it's your.
Maybe
job.
they'll get a number.
A number?
Yeah, they'll pop a rating for this.
Maybe they will. Look, if they do, they're going to be doing it every week.
Rusev better be praying this does a bad number.
He should have just said that this isn't a good idea from day one, because even if it does a good number, it's historically not a good idea.
That was the show, everybody.